Hello, you wonderful humans. So this month, your mid-month check-in coincides with the Gemini new moon. So it's a really interesting time. Obviously, these are timestamps, so make sure you check out your personal mid-month tarot read. A lot of them are very deep. I go into quite a bit of detail, so do be sure to check those out. Let me know in the comments what you think, and also can I please ask you to hype the video. Don't forget, yes, like it and share it and do all of those things, but please, 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 it really helps me. It really helps the channel. It really helps my reach and my growth and all of that good stuff. So if you could please give me your hype points on this video, I would be eternally, eternally grateful. With that said, all right, so have a fantastic month of it. Let me know in the comments how this shapes up, and then you can jump to your personal mid-month tarot read. All right, so let me know. Do you like this version? Do you prefer this one video where you can kind of just jump to your one and get it done? All right, with that said, take care. I'll see you in a moment. Hi Aries, welcome to your mid-month check-in. So this is purely tarot, so we're going to get straight into it. This is the deck that I'll be using for you today. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So your first card out, this is where you're at now, right? Like what's unfolding for you at this moment in time. All the things, as I like to say. So, I'm going to pop this down and you have the King of Cups. So this first card represents where you're at right now, okay? So in a lot of ways, this is you taking a deeper command of your own emotional realm and also your own your internal world. It also suggests that there is a lot of intensity right now, and so in terms of where you're at right now, this really is about commanding your emotions and finding a way to work with them so that you can move forward in a way that is more balanced, in a way that is more measured. But it's going to see you really wading through the waters at this moment in time. So I think as you're in the thick of it around this time of the middle of the month, which is around the time of the new moon actually. Now, when you think about it, a new moon is a very deep time anyway, because so I love new moons, I really do. But the truth is, a lot of people like there's, and this is me, right? I'm a full moon baby, but there's a lot of hype around a full moon because it's visible and you can see it. I don't think we pay enough, like beyond set intentions and all of that kind of stuff, and do some journaling. Like I don't think there's enough attention that's paid to a new moon. And the reason I say this is because aside from an inception or a conception point, a new moon actually represents a portal, and it's usually a lot of information, a lot of wisdom, a lot of new energies, new downloads, new insights, etc. that will come in at a new moon. And so the fact that you've got the King of Cups here around this time of the middle of June, you are delving very deep into your emotional realm. There's a very big focus right now on your inner world, on your intuitive and your emotional faculties. I think for a lot of you as well, this may be you thinking about things that you've only thought about previously, meaning like, oh, you know, you have a reverie about it or you have a thought about it, but then you don't entertain it again because you're like, oh no, that would upset the status quo too much, or you know, that's not what is expected of me, or whatever the case might be. I think for a lot of you, this is a time where you're looking at things that maybe were just once sort of thoughts, and you're starting to really give them actual deep emotional sort of resonance. Meaning like, so as an example, right? Like everyone knows I moved away from my hometown in 2021, 2022. And so, you know, prior to that, I tried to do it loads of different times, and it was only ever a thought, right? It was a thought, but I'd never really put sort of anything, you know, too serious behind it. Well, this time, like obviously then the time where I knew this was coming up and I knew that I was actually going to follow through on it. Sorry, it's hay fever season, and as you can hear, I am absolutely jam full at the moment. But at the time of this, at the time that it was unfolding, I kind of, originally it was just a thought. And then there comes a point where you start to actually really identify with that thought, no longer as just a thought, but as a desire, as something that you really want on that deeper sort of level of self. And so around the time of this new moon, which for you, if you're an Ascendant Aries at least, it falls in your third house, you may be giving your mind over to things that really are somewhat emotional for you. You may really start to emotionally invest in and attach to, right, and begin to really resonate with things that have only been thoughts up until recently, but now you're starting to give them sort of real credence, right? Like to say, like, actually, yeah, I think this might be the way forward for me. Now, for what look, so this is about what's really being called to your attention, right? Where it is that you need to put your thought, where it is that you need to put your focus, where it is that you are encouraged to work on something. And you've got the Wheel of Fortune. Well, the Wheel of Fortune is all about change. It's all about adaptation. It's also a card of results as well. Very often it sees the results of things that we've set forward. And so this is really asking you, like, what is calling for your attention and what is really needing your reflection, and more importantly, what do you know at this moment in time is changing? Where have you poured a lot of your time, effort, energy, resources into something that you're really hoping for or looking for the greatest and best results? Now, what's really interesting about that message coming through is that right now Saturn in the sky is sitting in the second decan of your sign, right? And the second decan of Aries is actually ruled by the Three of Wands. This really feels to me like right now, a lot of you Aries are giving very deep consideration to things that you had only really sort of flirted with the thought of, right? Aries is a very impulsive sign. I don't mean that in a bad way. I actually think it's a great thing. It's one of the things that I love about Aries is that impetus, right? To do, to move, to act. But you will be giving a lot more thought to things that up until now have literally just been like a thought or a consideration. And it's like now you're looking at them and really considering, what out of all of these things that I have flirted with or maybe decided that I might want to do or experience is actually now going to really start paying something forward, right? So the other part of this, because it's the Wheel of Fortune, so you're being encouraged here to really think about, where are you actually getting results in your life? Where are you seeing things really show up, move, or unfold tangibly? And where is it just something that you is a desire, let's say? Now, for those of you... No, we're not doing that. Not here anyway. When it comes to so this is about what you need to change, right? Like, what do you actually need to change? What is it that you really need to what is being asked of you to shift right now? And with the Ace of Swords, this is really pushing you to make a decision. This is almost like the universe is saying, I'm going to force the issue, so that this thing that you kind of flirt with wanting, this thing that you can see really has potential and might even be starting to show some potential, but you haven't really chosen it, right? You haven't really said in the depths or in the depths of your mind or in the depths of your heart, have you really claimed this thing to say, this is what I'm going to do. This is where I'm going to put my time. This is where I'm going to put my effort and my energy. This is really inviting you to start thinking about this now. Like, where is it that you are invested, like really invested enough to commit, enough to say, yes, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to really start moving towards this in a very earnest way, or I'm going to, sign on the dotted line even. Now, the other thing with the Ace of Swords, remember, this can be where we are, yes, it's a decision that will need to be made. The issue is being forced here. You can't just want it. right? You can't just flirt with it. You can't just sort of sit with the idea. You're going to have to claim this now. If you want it to be a real part of your tangible everyday world and life, you're going to have to commit. And sometimes that commitment actually looks like being able to say, I don't want that. That doesn't have a place in my life or my world anymore. And the reason that it doesn't is because when I say no to this, I'm truly saying yes to this, right? So this is a pretty deep time for you, Aries, right? And it's interesting, right, that the fact that we've got this new moon in Gemini happening in your third house, the house of the mind, of communications, etc. And with that Ace of Swords, it's not going to be enough just to make the declaration to yourself. You may have to overtly say, this is, you know, this is where I stand on this matter or in this regard. So your final card is the Seven of Cups, and this falls in the position of the results if you make those changes. Well, not only will you have more options available to you, but I think you'll really be able to understand what is only an illusion. And this is actually really interesting because it's that message is somewhat juxtaposed to this card, right? Because this card, if you've been with me long enough, you've heard me say when this card shows up, streamline the process, you've got too many plates spinning, yada, yada, yada. But if you do this Ace of Swords thing, right, and if you really decide to commit to whatever it is that's being asked of you, if you really decide to say, okay, I'm going to say no to that so that I can fully say yes to this, the results are the falling away of what is an illusion, right? And so this will be akin to a very small tower moment. And I don't think this is anything to fear. If anything, I actually think this is very positive for you, Aries, because it's like once you have this moment, you're going to say like, well, shit, yeah, you know, all I had to do was make the decision that this was the direction that I was going to go, and everything that wasn't feeding into that, or everything that was actively trying to stop that for me, was finally revealed to me in stark clarity. It's a really interesting read for you guys this month. I'm really looking forward to hearing from you in the comments. You have to let me know how this shapes up for you, what you feel, what is kind of speaking to you more than anything else. Now, if you would like to book a personal tarot reading with me, you can do so on the link in the description box below. At the moment, it's tarot videos. Then at the end of the month, I open up my books for the month following after. And it's basically first come, first served. Do look out for the Reydiant Reality sale this year. I am celebrating 10 years. Can you believe that Reydiant Reality is going to be 10 years old? So when the books open, there are going to be huge discounts for everybody on all of my services. So if you would like to bag yourself an absolute bargain, you better look out for that. And also the final thing that I do want to tell you about is the Retrograde Survival Kit is up and out there for your pleasure. Remember, Mercury's going to go retrograde at the very tail end of this month. I'm talking energy work. You've got booklets, you've got insights about the planets, you got trust me, I couldn't fit any more into the Retrograde Survival Kit if I tried, and it truly is some of my best work. And the thing that I love most about it is you can use it for every single planetary retrograde, right? So you've got all of them in there. Every planet in our zodiac, in our astrological system, you've got energy work, you've got insights, you've got booklets, you've got journal prompts, you've got everything. All right. So if you are ready to really work with the planets at a much deeper level, get in on that. With that said, take care, and I'll see you soon. Hi Taurus, welcome to your mid-month check-in. So this is the deck that I'm going to be using for you today. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So I'm going to give these a shuffle, and we are going to get... Ooh, okay, so you've got a jumping card. Very interesting that this should be your first card out, because this was the same card, obviously in a different deck, that came out for Aries in this position. And so this is the King of Cups in the position of where you're at right now. And the message that I gave to Aries was, This is really about you commanding your inner and emotional world, but also it's about you starting to really understand the terrain, right? Kings are, this isn't about gender, but kings are the highest expression of a suit, right? They're said to be the most refined energy of the suit. Now, when you think about this in terms of the King of Cups, this is about really commanding or being in command of your emotions, your emotional world, your inner world, and your inner terrain. And the message that I gave to Aries was, this is where you're starting to, sorry, as you can hear, I'm completely bunged up at the moment. It's hay fever season, and because the weather is, it's quite literally here, like 1 minute it's, like pouring like a torrential rain, and then within 5 minutes we've got sunshine. It's just really hard to regulate. Anyway, not that you needed to know that, but the thing that's coming up with this, and as I said to Aries, this suggests to me that a thought that you had only flirted with, right? Like you had a passing thought, maybe it's a thought that's been a recurring thought that comes up and then it goes away and it comes up again and it goes away. You haven't really paid it much sort of attention or mind up until this moment. And now you find yourself giving real deep emotional consideration to something that was once just a thought. This is where you start to really kind of recognize, okay, I keep having this thought. It keeps coming back around. Let me start to explore it. And more importantly, let me start to understand if there is any emotional resonance with this thought. So it's like something that you had only been like a passing thought or a passing fancy, as we like to say here in the UK. But now you're looking at this and you're kind of saying, right, okay, you know what? I think I'm going to give this some real thought. I think I'm going to give this some real consideration. Which is very, very interesting in so many ways, right? So what is it in your life that you know, right? At this moment in time it's come out, it's gone out, it's come back in, it's gone out, it's come back in, and now you're going to have to really sit with it. Now you add to this that we've got Mercury, the principle of mind, going into a retrograde at the very tail end of this month, and suddenly you start to realize, yes, there's going to be something very much on your mind, but your heart, your emotions, and your feelings are deeply intertwined with this. Now, for the position of what needs working on, you got the Four of Cups. Quite literally, any and all emotional stagnancy, any and all refusal to see where you're actually at this moment in time, or what materials you have available to you, is very much coming up at this moment in time. Like, it's so interesting to me, right? Like the fact that you have this card here, especially underneath the King of Cups, that's already saying, right, the mind is going inward now. You're going to start really looking at and mapping the inner internal terrain. You're going to really start delving very deeply into your emotions. And then that Four of Cups, that's saying, yes, your emotions are the things that you need to focus on. There is a deeply reflective energy in the Four of Cups, along with the power and the ability to really be honest about what needs to come to a close around, your personal inner and emotional authority, and also your emotional and connective situation, right? So right now, what is the state of your relationships, and how much of that is a good thing or not a good thing? How much of it is your fault? How much of it is someone else's fault? More importantly, so one of the things that I often say to people, this is, you got to snap yourself out of your funk. And the fact that you have this as what needs to be worked on, you are being invited and encouraged to really dig deep into your emotions and ask yourself, what no longer has a place in my world? What no longer has, what do I no longer really have space, energy, time, freedom, etc. for? What is it that I now need to kind of say goodbye to on those inner sort of levels? And then finally, what ingredients do you have around you that you refuse to acknowledge because they aren't the thing that you want, right? So the example that I like to give is, I really want cake. well, you don't have cake. Okay, but you do have butter, you do have sugar, you do have eggs, and you do have flour. So therefore you do have cake, but what you're saying is you don't want to make the cake, you just want to eat the cake, right? So this is a time to really start asking yourself, like, what resources are available to me internally, or even externally, that, you know, aren't the thing that I want, but could get me the thing that I want. And what exactly am I doing about that? Where is it that myself, in some way, shape, or form, emotionally, right? And this is all water so far, because they're both caps cards. Where is it that I'm getting in my way in that regard? Right? Like, this is a very, very deep question to ask yourself right now. What needs to change? You've got the sunshine. You've got the sun card. You've got the sun there. All right? Now, this is beautiful, because it means that there is a lightness. It means that there is a recognition. It means that there is an illumination that is coming in. And so the changes that you are being asked to bring into your world around this time of the mid-month, interestingly enough, this is the time of the new moon. The time of the new moon is famously a dark time, right? There's a lot that happens underneath the surface, both within us. Interesting that this new moon is in the sign of Gemini, and at the tail end of the month, Mercury is going to go retrograde, right, in the sign of Cancer, in the sign of the moon. So the moon and the sun at the time, the moon and Mercury at the time of this new moon, around on the 15th, are actually in what we call a mutual reception. And so this is the principle of Mercury and the mind is going through a process where it and the moon, who are actually very good friends, the moon and Mercury really get on very, very well. They're in a mutual reception, so they're speaking each other's languages. That said, the sun is what you need to do to clear the emotional debris. This is kind of like when the sun penetrates the top of the water and you can see, right? Like, you know, when the sun shines through the water and you see those underwater pictures and you can see like a shaft of light and it just looks beautiful. This is like that, right? This is shining the light on the depths. This is shining the light on the darkness. This is shining the light on your own, refusal to acknowledge what you do have. This isn't about like, oh, you know, Taurus, you're ungrateful, or whatever the case might be. It's really not about that. It's about opening up and bringing something from within you to the surface, to say to a friend or a loved one, I'm really struggling with this right now, to open up and be vulnerable, especially because around the time of the mid-month, you are gearing up now to house and host Chiron. Right, this is going to be a game changer for all of us, and not necessarily an easy one at the start of the transit. Right, as the time goes on over the 8 years that follow, yes, it will get much easier. But at the time, right, this first, because Aries, which is where Chiron is right now, is a vastly different energy to Taurus. And I always say that when a planet crosses the border from one sign into another, you've heard me say this many times, right? It's the most jarring, because it's like, you know, when you're going really, really fast in your car and you have to brake suddenly, right? That's how it is, right? Going from one sign into another, because each sign represents a sort of response to the sign that came before it. Aries is fast. It's get in there, do it, do what needs to be done, get it done now, fucking, you know, hard, fast, fiery, passionate energy. Taurus is slow, steady, measured. Have you ever, like, if you're a cross watcher, don't be out here trying to rush your Taurus, people. Like, Taurus does not do well being rushed at all, right? Like, do yourself and the world a favor. Do not incite the bull in that way, right? Because then when they see red, like when you see a Taurus mad, it's really funny, because they're like these super chill, like, you know, everything will get done, and then you can see it, like, as soon as the brow furrows on a Taurus, you know you're in trouble, right? Like, once that stubborn bluntness sets in and the brows start to knit together. And I've seen this on multiple Taurian people, by the way. So I'm not just basing this on the few Taurians that I know. I'm basing this on multiple Taurians that I have spoken to, that I've seen get into it, whatever it might be. As soon as you see the furrow of that brow, you got problems, okay? That being said, I love you, Taurus. You know, I love you. Right? I'm teasing, but I'm also serious, right? There's an illumination here. And so the reason I went off on that tangent is this is a time to share how you actually feel so that you can get the insight, the input, and the wisdom that you need from the external world, potentially another person, about how you are feeling so that you can see the beauty in the situation that you have. With Chiron coming into your sign later on this month, this is really a moment now to sort of say, okay, you know what? I need to admit and open up about my vulnerabilities, because the more you try to keep them hidden, the more you try to keep them in, the more you try to just swallow them down, the more... I had to think about this word, but you know what? Now I'm going to use it. The more violent the reaction will be. Your mind, your body, your psyche, right? It will start to kick back. It will start to push back. The reaction, you know, what happens, you know, like when you put the Mentos in the Coca-Cola, you've seen it, right? And people try to put their hand on top and it just doesn't do anything. It just, psh. This is that, right? Like this is what's going to happen if you try to suppress this stuff. So what are the results of the changes if made? Well, the release of your burdens is one way to go. It also suggests that a greater sense of liberation and freedom is what awaits you when you can talk about very honestly, openly, and earnestly what your vulnerabilities are. The ability for you to kind of say, okay, you know what? This wasn't easy, but it's the transformation that I needed. Taurus is very, very well versed at just getting on with it. You don't have that luxury anymore. You have to talk about it. You have to go into the depths. And this is not, you know, like any transit. It's not all the time, every moment, constantly for the entire length of the transit. None of them are. And thank God, right? Because we'd go mad otherwise. But that being said, what's being sort of really highlighted to you now is that you have to let the sun penetrate the water. You have to let the light into the spaces that you really probably don't want people to see, because that's how the healing happens, right? So I'm sure you all at some point have had a cut or a gash or a graze or a scrape, right? We were all young once. At first, what's the first thing that they do? You clean the wound, right? Ooh, it's horrible, it hurts, I hate it, I don't like it, right? And it stings, it stings, it stings. And then you cover it and you give it a little time, right, to start to work on its own. But what do they say to you as soon as that stage is done? You got to take the plaster or the covering off to let the air get to it. Right, this is where you're letting. This is what this is for you emotionally around the time of this this middle of the month, this new moon, and so the results of this are a greater sense of freedom and liberation, a greater understanding of how and where you can move to if you are able to A, let the light in, and B, let it breathe. All right, to give it all, including yourself, the space that you need to really open up in some way, shape or form. And also to understand that sometimes you can't see the meaning until you've gone through the bullshit. Right, and that's life, right? Welcome to the school of life. That is a huge part of it, right? How many times can you look back over your life and say, oh my God, that was some bullshit, right? But actually, it taught me this, and this about myself, and that about people and about the world, right? We've all got countless stories like that, and there's a reason. There's a reason for that. And I think this is where you get to finally understand some of the reasons that certain things have happened to you. But only if you're willing to go there, and only if you're willing to allow the illumination to take place and to really give or bring air into that space. Now, If you would like to book a personal tarot reading with me, you can do so on the link in the description box below. If you would like to, so at the moment this would be a tarot video. It's kind of like this, but a lot more in depth. They're usually about 45 to 65 minutes, give or take. Now, if you want a Zoom session, I open those up at the end of each month. There's a set amount of spaces, etc., that I have so that I can fulfill them in time, and we can get it cracking, right? We can get to the table. It would be my pleasure. Radiant Reality turns 10 years old this year, so make sure you look out for my birthday sale. It is coming up. I cannot believe it. I'm so excited about this. Now, on top of that, obviously Mercury is going to go retrograde at the end of this month. The Mercury retrograde, the retrograde survival kit, and this is for all planets. You can use this again and again and again. You get all kinds of insights about the planets, about remedies that you can use for the planets, about energy work that you can do to work with these planets' energies. It's literally from Mercury right the way through to Pluto and everything in between. I worked really hard on this course. It's there. And as I say, it is not exhaustive. You can use this time and time again for every single planetary retrograde that you will ever go through for the rest of your life. There's a link for that in the description box below. And this month only, there is £25 off of that, so make sure you check it out. With that said, let me know, Taurus, in the comments, how does this month shape up for you? It would be my honour and my pleasure to see you at the table. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Hi, Gemini. Welcome to your mid-month tarot check-in. So let's get straight to it. This is the deck that I'll be using for you today. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So I'm going to give these a shuffle. We're going to get stuck straight into it. So your first card out. If I haven't said it already, happy damn birthday to you. I truly hope you have a wonderful solar return if you are celebrating your birthday in this period. I truly hope you have a wonderful solar return. Remember to fill the day of your birthday with a little bit of everything that you want this whole entire year ahead to have in it for you. So your first card out, this is where you're at right now, and you've got the Page of Cups. So there is a sensitive little moment unfolding for you, my dear Geminis. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone. I think for a lot of you, you are deeply in the creative sphere, but it also suggests to me that a lot of you are deeply in the feels at the moment. There's a very sensitive searching and exploration of one's own creative faculty right now. There's a lot of consideration, I think, for a lot of you about things that you would have liked to have done. There's a deeply emotional but very nostalgic energy about where you're at this moment in time. That being said, I do think that a lot of you are very much in that creative seat right now, which is really, really exciting. So at the time that these are coming out around the mid-month, we are heading towards that Gemini new moon. This is your annual new moon. Now, I always say to people, you know, the full moon gets all the hype because you can see it and it's bright and it's beautiful. And granted, you know, I love a full moon because I'm a full moon baby. But that being said, one thing that I will say to you is, remember, the new moon is a portal. It's a dark moon. It's a time through which energy comes into our world. And so this could be a wonderful time for you to be downloading, channeling, receiving messages, intuitions, visions, dreams, etc. It's a really potent time for you at this moment in time because you are being reset, refreshed, renewed in some way, shape or form. Now, this Page of Cups, as I say, it's a very sensitive energy. It does feel to me Like a lot of you really are, and this is everyone at the moment, because Mercury, your ruling principle, the principle of mind, is currently in the sign of Cancer. And the fact that this new moon is happening in Gemini means that Mercury and the moon are in what we call a mutual reception. And so mind and emotion are one at this moment in time. There's not really that much of a separation between the two anyway. And so you may notice that your access to whatever you perceive or believe to be beyond the veil is that much more accessible to you at this moment in time. So I love this for you. You know, even if it is very sensitive, and it does feel very, very sensitive. You know, it's funny because both Aries and Taurus had the King of Cups in this space, and here you are with the Page of Cups. So interesting. So for what you need to work on, right? You have the King of Wands. So usually I would say this is about you working on your visibility. I'm going to say this is more about you working on your craft, and it's also more about you working on building your personal sense of authority. This is about you getting really serious about what it is that what you are creating, but what kind of legacy are you building for yourself? When people speak your name, whether this is at work, within family, within friendship ties, within your community, you know, whatever spaces or places you are known, when you think about those areas, where is it that you know or understand yourself to be an authority, or building something that looks like it or sounds like it? Now, another thing that I want you to consider, because this is about what's asking for your reflection and your, your honest attention at this moment in time. And this King of Wands, it's also about where you've already put the work in, right? Out of all of the kings that we have in the tarot, the King of Wands is the one that worked hardest for it. There's no nepotism involved with this king. There's no titles or accolades or previous wealth. Usually when somebody shows up as the King of Wands, they fucking earned that, right? Tooth and nail. And so the fact that this is in the position of what needs to be worked on, and this is not to undercut or discount anything that you've done up until now, but this is about you building your legacy. It's about you putting that work, that hard effort, pain, sweat, grit, tears, it's about you showing up in whatever area or field it might be and delivering something at such a level that your authority, as I was saying, is undisputed, right? Like, so that any onlooker would just be like, you know what, even if I don't like this person, I have to give them their props because you did that, right? Like, so there's that element of it as well. Another thing that I want to say is, what is your relationship to or with authority at this moment in time? Who are and I'm going to say this, who are the men in your world that you either look up to, respect, revere? Who are the men that you have looked at, leaned on, partnered with, buddied up with? This is a time to really highlight those relationships in your life and say, like, actually, I need to give you your props. Like, I have a habit of doing this, right? If you know me behind the scenes, very often I will just send random text messages and stuff to people just saying, I just want you to know that I appreciate you. And I think sometimes they're a bit like, okay, Raf's having a moment, but that's just who I am. And, sometimes I think those things are really important. It shouldn't take a special occasion or whatever the case might be to show people that you appreciate them. And so when it comes to the men in your life around this time, around this period, this is the time for you to really consider how you look after and you foster those relationships, okay? What are the results? So what needs to change is the Lover's card. Well, the Lover's card is Gemini. The Lover's card is you. I think you're already going through massive, huge, sweeping changes because you've got Uranus in your sign, right? You are housing that puppy. Well, more like a bloody Great Dane that has ADHD, right? You're housing that rule, like, you know, that crazy wild principle right now. So in this deck it's called the Lord and Lady, but this is the Lovers card, and so the changes that are being made are about how you change. The changes that are being shifted or adapted is how you approach things, how you make things happen, how you lean into the unfolding of the things that you desire. Now you've got this with the Page of Cups. I honestly want to say that this is you choosing to release something, right? And this is, I said this, if you've been with me enough, you've heard me say this, like, there comes a point where once you've created something, you've got to let it go. And it's really, really hard, because you're like, oh, you know, but I made this and I'm proud of it and I don't want people to trash it and maybe they don't love it as much as I do, or That's something that needs to shift now, right? And then in relation to this King of Wands, I mean, look, what are the partnerships that you have that have built, like, what are the partnerships that you have that have been built on mutual respect painstakingly? And I'm going to give you an example here, right? I'm not going to say which or whatever the case might be. But I have someone in my life whom I love very, very dearly. And we have had a very volatile relationship, right? It's not been easy. We have built a relationship on being very brutally sometimes honest with each other and not holding back when the case might be, to the point where sometimes it's been really uncomfortable to have certain conversations because, you know, you don't want to hear the stuff about yourself that you don't want to hear, right? Because you know you actually need to hear it and all the rest of it, right? We've had that relationship, and what we have now because of it is pretty unshakable because of the level and the depth of which we've fostered that real connection, right? Like, there's no airs and graces. You tell me straight, I tell you straight. When we need to, it's us against the world. We'll fuck you up together, and then we'll deal with the shit, you know, that we've got between us later on, right? Outside of us, you would never know what it had taken for us to get to that level of strength, right? That level of connection. It's been painstakingly won. And so I give you that example to say, who are the men in your life that you've built those kinds of bonds with? Maybe they're not even men at all, right? Maybe they're women. I've seen a fair few women show up as the King of Wands, actually. One was a martial artist, and I'm telling you, this chick could beat any man's ass, right? Like, quite frankly. I know I wouldn't get into a ring with her anyway. All that aside, this is to say that those relationships, those ones that are honest, those ones that are brutal, those ones that maybe have had breaks, right? Maybe have had disagreements, maybe have had long periods of time where you didn't speak, and yet you've managed to forge something truly very remarkably strong because you overcame those challenges, right? Now, where does all of this lead if you make these changes, right? If you really begin to foster these relationships and you really start to understand where you need to earn your stripes, even if you don't feel like you should have to at this point, it leads to the Nine of Cups. True wish fulfillment is where this goes. The ability to say, you know what, not only do I have the recognition, but, you know, as the Oracle told Neo, balls to bone, I know I fucking earned this and nobody can ever take it away from me, right? Like, what you get out of this, Gemini, is the ability to own something at a soul level, right? Like, at a soul level. And I can say this because just recently, if you've been with me long enough or you've seen any of my other videos, I talked about this quite openly. Somebody that I really, really looked up to and respected did me a real dirty recently. And this is somebody that had a real, you know, when I say look at a lot, I had a lot of love for this person. I really did. And to find out that they did me in the way that they did really fucking hurt. But once I really dug into it and I did my stuff around it, what I came out of it with, and I speak from experience here, is a soul realization of, you know what, it don't matter how much I respect you for whatever you do. I've earned what I have and where I'm at right now. And for the moment that you kind of caught me off kilter and I started to question everything, okay, cool, point to you. But what I walked away from it with is a soul unshakable knowledge that what I have has been fucking earned tooth and nail at the very depth of who I am. That's what awaits you should you decide to do this work, and I do think that you will. With that said, happy damn birthday, Gemini. Now, if you want to book a personal reading with me, at the moment it's only videos, but I do open up my books at the end of each month. I send out an email to the mailing list first, then I let everybody on YouTube know. It's first come, first served. I have a set amount of sessions that I can offer a month over Zoom, so we get together and we do your reading. It's all great fun, right? If you would like to book a tarot video, you can do so on the link in the description box below. If you want one of those coveted live spots, then you can obviously make sure you're on my mailing list, because they always get first heads up. And then if you don't know, obviously your ruling planet Mercury is going to go retrograde at the end of this month, at the very tail end of the month. The retrograde survival kit is £25 off. There is a link for that in the description box below as well. I worked super hard on this and I do think that you will love it. It's energy work, insights, remedies, all kinds of incredible stuff for every single planetary retrograde that you will ever have for the rest of your life. If you want to work with the planets instead of against them at a really deep level, this is your moment. There's, as I say, there's a discount. And look out for the Reydiant Reality sale, because there is, this is 10 years. 10 years I've been doing this work now, via YouTube anyway, which is kind of insane, right? It says 9, but it's actually 10, right? So celebrate with me. I'm going to be talking about all of that anyway as we get into later in the month, so it would be great to hear from you. With that said, let me know in the comments how it shapes up. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Hi Cancer, welcome to your mid-month tarot check-in with me, Raphael. Let's get straight into it. So this is the deck that I'll be using for you today. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, like peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. As you can hear, it's currently hay fever season here. But on top of that, we've had, when I say like incredibly weird weather, so 1 minute it's like torrential rain, and then the next minute it's like full blazing sunshine. So it's just been a little bit of a crazy, so you never really know if it's a cold or hay fever or a mix of both. So I apologise for all of this. With that said, your first card out, where are you at right now? I also wanted to say, if you are watching this at the latter portion of the month, happy damn birthday to you, Cancer. I truly hope you have a wonderful solar return. Remember to fill the day of your birthday with a little bit of everything that you want this entire year ahead to have in it. Now, with that said, where are you at right now? So you've got the Two of Cups. Interesting, because this card literally represents the start of your season. And the fact that you have this so this is really like where you're at right now. This is you looking at your true relationships, your true partnerships, your true interactions, whether these are with friends, whether these are with siblings, whether these are with your significant other. There is a desire and a need for the harmony, for the principle of harmony at this moment in time. And there's a lot of focus right now on the emotional world. Why? Because Mercury is in your sign. We've got obviously Jupiter's going to be in the tail end as I'm filming this. So today's like the 10th of June, and Venus and Jupiter have just finished their conjunction, right? That was yesterday when it came sort of exact. It's been building. I stretched the orb and said like from the 7th to the 13th. But, you know, at this point it's separating. Now, that being said, this Two of Cups, you've got Mercury in your sign at this moment in time. and is going to be there for a good long while, because Mercury is going to go retrograde at the tail end of this month in your sign, which means there is a greater focus of mind on your on our relationships, but on our emotions, on our intuitive emotional feeling sort of internal world. Now, the fact that you have this here in this position of where you're at right now, there is a big focus on your relationships, on your partnerships, on your interactions, not just on a one-to-one level as well, but this is how you relate to everything and anyone, right? So whether this is personal, professional, or platonic, there's a big focus on these things right now. And this feels to me like you are really in the feels, and you're thinking about, who are my people? Where are my unions? Where are the connections that I have to people that really serve me very well, and vice versa? So in the position of what you need to work on now, you've got the Moon card. So where is it that you really need to understand for yourself what your emotional reactions are? Not responses, but your reactions. This is a chance. So really what needs to be worked on at this moment in time is, one, your relationship to the past. 2, your relationship to any and all things that cause emotional response, which is basically everything. And 3, what are your sometimes we react to things instinctually, right? We react to things in ways that aren't, it's not even necessarily about whether it's healthy or not, but we react to things in a way that we are conditioned to react to them. And so over the course of around this time, especially because we're coming into, so at the time I'm putting these out, you will be in the orb of the new moon, right? The new moon in the sign of Gemini. Well, this is a big deal for you whenever we have a lunar transit. This is a big deal for you because you are ruled by the moon after all. Now you add to that then that this new moon is in the sign of Gemini. Well, where is Mercury? In your sign. And so you have what's known as a mutual reception being formed around the time of this new moon, which is really interesting given the fact that that Mercury is going to go retrograde in your sign at the end of the month. Now, why am I talking about all of this? Because you've heard me say many times, the moon in Tarot is not Cancer. No, it isn't. It's actually Pisces. But the moon's attributes and energies of its own are very much about the past, about reflection, around not having all of the information or not seeing something clearly enough to really make a solid or a concrete decision. And so your attention is being brought to, what are your emotional reactions and instinctual reactions, right? Where is it that you have a programmed set of feelings and beliefs and coping mechanisms that come up when certain things unfold for you? This is what your attention is being brought to at this moment in time. And it's probably going to be a very deeply reflective middle month for you, especially because Gemini in your chart, certainly from an ascendant side to a lesser degree, but still relevant, the sun and the moon, Gemini is the 12th house for you, right? So not only do you have Uranus in that 12th house, doing some very interesting things with the nodes at this moment in time, but on top of that, you also have this new moon, right, in the 12th house, in this really deep, very liminal space that is to do with the past, your history, your heritage, your emotional and spiritual reactions, your habits, patterns, and routines within the mental sphere, right, your mental health, your spiritual health. The 12th house is a very liminal, very intuitive space, and it also represents the past. And so the fact that you have this moon card here, and this is what your attention is being brought to, well, you've got Gemini in the 12th house. Cancer is a very traditional sign. It likes to talk about the past. It likes to look at the things that make it nostalgic. It likes to talk about all of the things that are hidden. Cancer is a very sensual sign as well. The 12th house is the space of the boudoir, darling, right? The bedroom, and not necessarily just from a sexual perspective, but from a sleep and a dream and a subconscious cerebral sort of space as as well. So this could be a very, very deep time for you where these things are being brought to your thoughts and your mind. Then you've got the Nine of Cups as what needs to shift, right? So the shift that you're being encouraged to make right now is to heal your past, right? To heal the wounds that you have of and from the past. You are probably at this moment in time coming into contact with intelligences beyond your years, meaning your ancestors. You are very likely to be seeing different ways that you relate to different things, places, people, and situations. And this is asking you to heal your present and therefore your past so that you can free yourself of the conditionings, the habits, and the patterns and the behaviors that are really not helpful for you anymore, or that have brought you maybe to this point but will take you no further. And so, coupled with the Moon card, this is some kind of psychic or spiritual healing that takes place. And coupled with the Two of Cups, this is going to help you really enhance or mend, not even mend, but enhance or improve your relationship style by really understanding what your needs are in those spaces, right? So what do you need from a relationship that maybe you're not getting at the moment? What do you need from any and all supposed reciprocal relationships? So I asked this as well because obviously I have a Cancer moon, and my whole thing for this year, one of the things that I was very clear on for myself was, if it's not reciprocal, I'm not interested, right? And so to see this, I'm very kind of like, okay, this makes sense, especially with this new moon. And to not put too fine a point on it, Cancer, but Cancer is a very giving sign, right? It will pour out of itself and just give and give and give very often. But how and where are you pouring into your own cup? And what are you doing to truly fill yourself up at this moment in time? This is what's being asked of you now, to really think about, how am I pouring into my own cup? And more importantly, who pours into my cup? And is what they're pouring, water, wine, or mead, or is it poison? These are the things that I think are really coming up. And so the shift that you're being asked to make is to really dedicate your time, effort, and energy, certainly on an emotional level. Two of Cups, water. Nine of Cups, water. The Moon card, Pisces, water. Right, so certainly on an emotional level, if you've been with me long enough, I always say to you, Cancers, you got to take the shell off from time to time and give it a good clean, because it can get a little bit fusty in the Cancerian emotional space, right? Now, look at this. The results of those changes made are a strength and a wisdom and a courage. Strength, courage, and wisdom. Strength, courage, and wisdom that is unsurpassed, because it has been lovingly cultivated from within through healthy relationships, but more importantly, through the right kinds of boundaries that need to be drawn around the self. And this is the thing, sometimes the boundaries that we need to draw aren't necessarily about telling people off or making people stay in their lane or whatever. Sometimes the boundary that we draw is for self-containment, right? And so this is what I think this Nine of Cups is really asking for. And look at this, right? So this figure is crossing their hands over their chest, almost in protection of the heart. And then this figure on the Strength card is literally embracing their strength and living truly and, from the heart and in control of the emotions. And so this is a lot of water with a bit of fire. And this is really about you healing and mending the relationships. But as I say, right, this is really about self-containment, I think, more than anything else. And so if the shifts are made, the results that you get from it are a greater sense of self and a greater sense of strength, courage, and wisdom. Now, with that said, if you would like to book a personal reading with me at the moment, you can book a personal tarot video. It would be my pleasure to make one of those for you. I have the and then at the end of the month, my mailing list always get first heads up. I open up a certain amount of slots for Zoom sessions, so if you want to find out when those are, make sure you're on my mailing list. Radiant Reality is celebrating 10 years this year. Can you believe it? 10 freaking years. So I will be doing a little bit of a giveaway. I will also be slashing my prices as I do at this time every year. So stay tuned for that as well, because I imagine that the slots that I do have available are going to probably go quite quickly. So be sure to look out for those. And then finally, for those of you that are interested, obviously, as you know, Mercury is going to go retrograde in your sign this month, and so if you want to work with this planetary retrograde and every other subsequent planetary retrograde that comes up, the retrograde survival kit is now £25 off. Be sure to check that out. It's some of my best work. You're going to get remedies for working with the planets, you get journaling, prompts and booklets and all. You know, Rafi loves a PDF. Right? On top of that, you also get energy work for each and every one of the planets. This is some of the deepest work that you will probably ever do working with planetary retrogrades in terms of actually practically working with them. This isn't like if you're an astrologer extraordinaire and all the rest of it, it's not that, right? This is not that. This is about practically working with these energies to really dig into your own energy and psyche to understand what is at the base of this and how you yourself and the frequency of the planet are resonating or not, as the case might be, and mending that connection. All right. So if this is, it's not just like a take this course on planetary retrogrades. It's really not that. All right, like it's deeper than that. And quite frankly, if I'm completely honest and open, it will be more rewarding than that as well. All right, with that said, let me know in the comments what you think about this. How is it speaking to you? With that said, take care and I'll see you soon. Hi Leo, welcome to your mid-month tarot check-in. So this is the deck that I'm going to be using for you today. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So I'm going to give these a shuffle. And for your first card out, you'll have to forgive me, as usual, around this time of year. I have my annual hay fever / not sure if it's a cold because of the crazy British weather bout of snottiness. So I apologise for that. Now, for your first card out, this is the position of where you're at right now. So I want to say this, so you've got the Goddess of Pentacles, so this is the Queen of Pentacles in this deck, right? Now, you may find at this moment in time that you are very much in the build phase of something, right? So you're in that space where at the moment you're probably laying lots of seeds, you're probably putting a lot of foundational touches into place. You may be sort of really starting to make moves or progress in terms of the plans that you have or the seeds that you are planting. And yet, at the moment, you won't be seeing any of the results of these things. And so right now, you might just be a bit surrounded by what looks like just a bit of a muddy mess. And so if at this moment in time, you're in the thick of it, please don't get lost in the source and please don't be disheartened. This is a time where the plans that you have, the things that you have envisioned, the things that you're building, the foundations that you're laying, the seeds that you're planting, you are doing all the things right, Leo, right? You are in the right space of where you need to be at this moment in time. And the beauty of the Queen of Pentacles, as you know, all of the court cards have a special power. Well, the special power of the Queen of Pentacles is she increases the yield, right? So whatever it is that you have, like she has her personal power, I will say with the Queen of Pentacles, is that she can take a tenner and turn it into 100 grand, right? Such is her ability. She can really increase the yield or, you know, help you get the most out of what you have. And at this moment in time, it looks like certainly on a very practical level, this is where you're at right now. You're trying to get the most out of everything that you have. You're building very much for the future. There's a huge focus on what comes next or where you go from here. And there is a deeply profound profound energy that asks you to really be present with the things that you're building. So if at the moment it feels like you're just this sort of muddy sort of earth mother / person type, but you're really not seeing any of the results or the rewards, this is about knowing that those results and those rewards will come. And there's so many reasons why I'm saying that, but as I say, just, really be present with it at this moment in time. So stick with it, right? If you feel like you're in the thick of it right now and it just doesn't seem to be going anywhere, please, please, please do not quit. All right. Now, in terms of what needs working on now, right? You've got the 9 of Wands. So first and foremost, you're not going to want to hear this, Leo, but I'm going to say it to you anyway. This is a time for you to acknowledge your wounds. This is a time for you to really look at your traumas, your past challenges or issues. It's a time for you to really understand where you bear the brunt or the battle scars of the life that you've lived. Now, this reminds me of there's a quote, and I can't remember who it was, but there's a celebrity, I think it was Julia Roberts. So someone said to her, like, when you look around in the industry and you see all the, other celebrity women and all the work that they've had done on their faces and blah, blah, blah. And she said, when I look at myself in the mirror, I look at myself and I say, this is the face that I've earned and I'm okay with that. And that really hit me. It's such a poignant way to receive yourself as you understand who you are, right? By looking at yourself. And so the reason I say this is because the 9 of Wands can be our wounds, it can be our crises, our traumas, the things that bring us PTSD. It's all of those types of things, right? But it's also the acknowledgement of where we are at, the experiences that we've had. And so one of the things that I often say with this card is it's like you made it, but you got some scars to show for it. And so the fact that this is in the position of what what you're being asked to work on now, what your attention and honest reflection is being drawn to at this moment in time is, what does it, Chiron in Aries, what does it cost you to be yourself? But more importantly, what has the road that you've traveled up until where you are cost you? And are you okay with continuing to pay that cost? Or are you ready to look at those wounds, those vulnerabilities and say, actually, this is probably too much of a burden for me to bear on my own. I'm going to ask for help and or support in some way, shape or form. So it's a really deep energy here. The other thing with this card, it can sometimes represent where we don't feel heard, seen, or listened to. And these are things that for a Leo person, sun, moon, or ascendant, really cut very deep. I'm not talking about like, everybody look at me, all the usual stereotypical bullshit that people say about Leo. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about really being seen, right? Like when people talk to you, when people interact with you, like that core wound, right, around, you don't see me, you don't hear me, you don't understand who I really am. Like, you hear the words that I use, but you don't really hear or listen to what I'm actually saying, right? This is the month, or around this time, at the new moon. A new moon is a dark moon, so it's a time of deep reflection, a time of rest. Your ruler, the sun at this time, is also a little bit more I don't like the word compromised, but the sun and the moon are coming together at the time of the new moon, and so it's a very different type of energy than just you shining on your own, right? And so at this time, this new moon in the sign of Gemini, you may be feeling a little bit more pensive. You may be feeling a bit more like, okay, you know what, like, and this is really interesting because actually I'm not going to go into it because it's just too long-winded a story, but what I will say to you is this is a time where you may be understanding how your goals, dreams and aspirations, because this is an 11th house new moon, are really starting to shift. Like, what was once the goal is no longer the goal. What was once the desire is no longer the desire, because it's shifted in relation to who you are now, as you understand what your wounds and your habits and your patterns are because of those wounds, right? And so when you can see them differently, when you can see your hurts and your past in its rightful place, sometimes goals and dreams and hopes and visions that you'd set up for yourself, you're like, why on earth would I want that? Like, no, I really don't want that. And the reason that I don't want it is because actually it doesn't serve me in any way, right? Like, the reason I don't want that thing, the reason I don't need that thing or to achieve that goal is because that version of me who had unhealed or unprocessed trauma and all the rest of it. But now that I've integrated those parts of myself, I no longer, I found a freedom within myself that I don't need to find externally by whatever I thought this goal or this thing was going to give me. And so, in the long run, this can be very, very healing and very, very freeing. So in terms of what needs to change, or rather, what needs to shift here, you got the Six of Swords. For a lot of you, this does represent a journey that you once would never have taken, but you embark on now. And so around the time of this new moon, I do think a lot of Leos will be restructuring, reorientating, redefining their goals and their desires. Now, what's really interesting as well is obviously Mercury is going to go retrograde in the sign of Cancer at the end of the month, which for you, especially if you're an Ascendant Leo to a lesser degree, but still relevant, the Sun and the Moon, this is going to happen in your 12th house, one of the deepest spaces in the chart, where Mercury in Cancer is already prone to really, looking at the nostalgic things, looking at the memory, looking at the past, looking at our childhood, harking back to yesteryear is very much a Mercury in the 12th energy. And it's, in the sign of Cancer, it's all about the feels. And so the shift that you're being encouraged to make is to really look at what you are ready to move beyond now. What challenges, issues, traumas, and all the rest of it from your past are you truly willing to lay to rest so that you can move forward and be not only a stronger version of yourself, but a more integrated version of yourself. Now, for those of you that have taken the Architect's Boardroom session, I will say to you, I release 2 of those slots a month. It is a beautiful and powerful journey. I've put several people through this so far, and the insights are always incredible and profound. And if you really are about doing that deep sort of integrative shadow work, if you really are wanting to bring more pieces of your personal puzzle together so that you can really understand them that much more, then the Architect's Boardroom session is absolutely for you. It's not for the faint of heart. I am going to say that, right? It's very deep work. I love it. I respect it so much. It's one of the things that I am probably most proud of creating. Those sessions are released at the end of every month. So if you would like to book one of those, either get on my mailing list or look out for the very tail end of the month when I open up my books so that you can book your Architect's Boardroom session. All right. Now, with that said, this Six of Swords, can see us crossing into better territory and or waters. But the thing about the Six of Swords, where everyone sees this card and they're like, yeah, that's it, things are getting better. And I always say to them, it's not a fast process. It's not like a switch. It's a blending, right? It's a gentle sort of boat ride away from whatever the challenges were, right? Toward wherever it is that you're going. The fact that you've got this Six of Swords with the Queen of Pentacles says you've dug fertile soil. You've planted good quality seed. You have prepared solid foundations. And now, over this next 3 to 6 months, right? 6 months, especially because this is the Gemini new moon that we're planting new seeds around the future for. You don't get the goodies from the new moon on the next full moon, which is like 2 weeks later. You get it at the corresponding full moon, which will be the Gemini full moon, which takes place at the very tail end of this year. So whatever you're setting into motion now, Leo, around the time of this midpoint of June, you won't be seeing the results or the goodies from it until that point later in the year. And, you know, thank the stars for that, right? Because it means that you've got time to actually cultivate this and turn it into something real that's going to last. Now, the reason I can back this up even more is the Six of Swords as a time period literally represents 6 months. All right, like has a cubit of time. Now, finally, what are the results if you make those shifts? You've got the Knight of Cups. If you make these shifts, if you are able to really, you know, understand that it's going to take its time to unfold, this next 6 months will be filled with opportunities. It will be filled with offers. It will be filled with good things that await you, that come back to you from and through others. This is going to see you connecting to the right people, to the right benefactors, to the right friendships, to the right groups. The message here really is, though, that you cannot and should not do it all on your own. All right. So when I say this is what's being asked of you right now, is to move beyond where you're at, to move beyond the traumas and all the rest of it by accepting and acknowledging them, right? Rather than just burying them in your closet. And then when you look at what comes about as a result of this shift with the Knight of Cups, the Son of Cups in this deck, it's quite literally, right? For those of you that are single, the work that you do now is what's preparing the way for the relationship that will come. For those of you that are partnered, this is the work that you do now on the relationship and opening up about your hang-ups, your wounds, your traumas, your challenges, your issues. The work that you do in that regard on the relationship is what really enhances that relationship, where you can collect the results and the rewards from this at the very tail end of this year. So it's a really powerful and very potent moment at this midpoint for you, Leo, and probably one of the lighter energies that we've seen for you in a while, right? Even if it is deep, it's not necessarily dark. Now, that being said, if you would like to book a personal tarot video, you can do so on the link in the description box below. If you want one of those much coveted Zoom sessions, remember at the end of the month, I open up my books. My mailing list are always the first heads up, right? So they always get first dibs. Then I open it up to YouTube. It's always first come, first serve. Once all of the sessions are booked in, that's the tail end of the month. This month it will be from the 22nd of June though. And then delivery will start literally the following week, and I go all the way through the week. Now, that being said, it's also worth noting that this year, so every year around this time, I hold a Reydiant Reality birthday sale. This year is celebrating 10 freaking years. Can you believe it? So if you would like to book a session with me, then this is absolutely the time to do it, so you can bag yourself a bargain. On top of that, as if all of that wasn't enough, the Mercury retrograde that's coming up, the retrograde survival kit is currently £25 off. Make sure you check that out. This is energy work, journaling, it's remedies, all kinds of stuff for every single planetary retrograde for the rest of your life. So there is messages, energy work, insights, all that good stuff for every single planetary retrograde that ever takes place. If you want to work with these planets, these retrograde energies at a very practical level, at an energetic level, this is absolutely for you. It's not just more astrology information, all right? Like, in fact, you don't really need to know much astrology to do this. You'll have plenty of insight about each one of the planets. You will understand enough about their function and what they're doing in your life so that you can work at that energetic level at a very deep level. So if you're looking at this and thinking, oh, it's just another astrology course, it's not that at all. This is an energy work based, I can't even really call it a course. I don't even call it a product. This is a tool. It's a toolbox. It's a whole toolkit, a retrograde survival kit, quite literally. All right, so check that out on the link in the description box below as well. It would be my pleasure. With that said, let me know in the comments how this shapes up for you. What are you finding? What's coming up for you as you're watching this? Take care, and I'll see you soon. Hi Virgo, welcome to your mid-month check-in. So this is your I've forgotten what it is. This is your mid-month check-in. This is the deck that I'll be using for you today. So before we start, as always, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, like peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So I'm going to give these a shuffle, and we are going to get stuck in and straight straight into it. So for your first card out, this is what we call where you're at right now. All right, this is what we're really going to start to explore and expand on. So for your first card, you have the Strength card. I kind of love this for you. I think for a lot of you, where you're at right now is really taking care of your own physical health and vitality. I think there is a very big focus on your material self, and that's not necessarily to do, with money or anything like that. I think this is you really looking after your physical health and vitality. I think this is you paying a lot more attention to how you feel in your body, why you feel in your body, what you feel in your body, what you're fueling yourself with. So whether this is your food, are you sleeping right? Are you sleeping well? Is your supplement stack the correct one for you? I think you're really doing that detail orientated thing around your physical body, which is fantastic, right? It's always a good thing to look after. It's the only one we're gonna be given, right? So you might as well look after it as best you possibly can. Now, that being said, on a deeper level than that in here, this is seeing you really start to look at and explore not only how you feel at that very deep level, right? But where it is that you are, where it is that you're giving time, effort, and energy to the aspect of yourself that you understand to be your true self. And so while you're delving very deep, I think a lot of internal stuff is coming to the surface. Now, for some of you, this may be old repressed, because as we work on our bodies, and I know this to be true, old injuries are stored in the body. Old traumas or wounds are stored in the body. I'm going to give you a really good example here. You know how traffic has a memory? So this is what they say. So very often if there's a, if there's an accident on a motorway, a lot of the time that slowdown that you experience isn't because the accident is it's already been cleaned up, right? It's already been cordoned off and all the rest of it, but it sends a shockwave and a ripple through the rest of the traffic that comes up after it. And that's why they say, right, traffic has a memory. Well, your body is very much the same as well, right? It will store each and every experience that you have within its movement, within its expression, with how efficient your organs and stuff function. And so I think for a lot of you, this is a time where you're looking in your heart of hearts to really understand not only all the stuff around your physical body, but around your true desires, around what you're truly attached to at that very deep sort of heart level at this moment in time. Now, in terms of what needs to shift, you've got the Seven of Cups with the Strength card. I will say this, right? Well, this is not what needs to shift. It's actually what's calling for your attention, what is really asking you to reflect on at the moment. And I think for a lot of you Virgos, this is where you're really starting to understand what either is or is not yours to deal with. I think this is a moment where you're being very clear, very resolute around what is yours to take on and what is not, where you are really sort of understanding what you want to, what you want to be a part of, what you want to be party to. I think for a lot of you as well, there are, probably multiple things that you are taking off the table and replacing with things that feed into one symbiotic goal. And so what I mean by this is, it's like, I feel like for a lot of you, you're creating a greater sense of symbiosis by saying, you know what, I used to have these, like, as an example, because it's the Seven of Cups, I used to have these 7 separate things that were all vying for my attention and all the rest of it. Whereas actually now, what I'm going to do is this, right? I'm going to take these 3 things that all feed directly into this one thing. And so I'm condensing the energy, right? I'm approaching one problem, issue, desire, whatever, from multiple angles and sources, but they all feed into each other, so they're not disparate things, right? This is akin to what Virgos do best. They take something big, they break it down into its component pieces and parts, and then they focus on each one of those, and then, you know, the details. This is you doing that, but in a life sense, I think, for a lot of you. This is where your attention is being brought to. So it's kind of saying to you, like, what are the most important goals at this moment in time? What are the most important considerations? Where is your energy truly best spent right now? Now, for obviously in the middle of the month, we have the Gemini new moon coming up. And this new moon is, you know, it's an interesting one in that the moon and Mercury are going to be in a mutual reception, right? So Mercury's in the moon sign, Cancer, where it's going to go retrograde later this month. This is a big deal for you because you are Mercury ruled. The moon will be in Gemini, and it's a new moon in Gemini, so a fresh start, a deep sort of portal-like energy. So the new moon, I always see, especially in terms of its astrology, it is a portal through which new information, new energy, new data, new light, new darkness, new dark matter, new stimuli, new energies, new DNA codes, right? Even if you want to call it, all travel through that portal, and they're coming through that Geminian energy. So for you, you know, where is Gemini? It's in the 10th house, right? So if you're an ascendant Virgo, lesser degree, but still relevant, sun and the moon, in that 10th house space, it's really about your public identity, your public persona, you know, the part of you that you understand to be the legacy that you're building. And so what is the goal in that regard? And how is what you're doing right now either feeding into that or taking you away from it? So then you've got the 6 of Cups, and this is what needs to shift. And it's rare to see this, right? Virgo's usually, let's deal with the facts. Let's be here and now. There's something in your past that you seem to be romanticizing, right? There's something that you are, oh, you know, in the good old days, or it used to be like this, or, you know, once it was like that, and all the rest of it. And so what's coming through here is, excuse me, you're being asked now to kind of drop that and say, okay, yes, it was wonderful then. You know what? Yes, it worked. Yes, it was this. Yes, it was all that. But it's not that anymore. You know, be here, be now. Start thinking about this from the perspective of, actually, this is where I need to put my focus, right? Like, I need to be here and now, more in the present. It's really interesting as well, because obviously you had the 6 of Cups, the 7 of Cups come up first, and then the 6, right? And look at this. The Strength card is the number 8. So we're going backwards in the numbers. What does this tell me? It tells me that you're in the process of simplifying. You're stripping away, not adding in, right? Like, this is where you're pulling it away. And so maybe you look to the past and say, okay, this worked, this didn't, but you don't hang on to that, right? You don't get stuck in the nostalgia of it all. Yeah, all right. So the results of the shift made, right, is the 9 of Pentacles. If you stop looking at where you've been, what used to be so great, what used to not be so awful, all the things, what you actually get is a greater and a deeper appreciation of the present. and more abundance because of it. That could be a more abundant mind, a more abundant energy, more abundance of health, more abundance of money. It's probably going to be a mixture of all of the above. It can also be that and that maybe you're going through the process of a refinement of character as it relates to being out of sorts, right? And so something magical happens when we're put in places, spaces, or situations that are uncomfortable to us. We learn, right? We learn, we adapt, we grow, and more importantly, we realize we're not made of glass. I think this is happening for you at the moment, and I think for some of you, this is going to come about in a way where you realize, like, wow, actually, the people that I thought were the problem or the issue really are not. And the people that I thought were, the ones that love me most and all the rest of it, like, actually aren't. There's a juxtaposition here coming in, and it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds. With that said, this brings you the final piece of the puzzle, right? So you had to go from the 8 to the 7 to the 6 just to get to the 9, right? So you've got a straight run here of cards, right? If you look at it from that perspective, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? Like you've got a run of cards. Now, whatever way we got there, this is an acceleration and or a speeding up. So if things get fast from here, Virgo, it would not be a surprise. Now, for those of you that would like to, if you would like to book a personal video reading with me, you could do so on the link in the description box below. If you would like one of the much coveted Zoom sessions, I open my books at the end of each month, and then once they close at the end of that week, fulfillment starts the week after. So if you would like to get in on this with me, you know what to do. I will also say, the Radiant Reality birthday sale is coming up, so if you would like to book a session at a really great price, stay tuned for that, because it's going to be 10 years I'm celebrating this year. I cannot believe it. And also, because Mercury, your ruling planet, is going to be going retrograde this month, remember there is the retrograde survival kit. That is currently £25 off. It's not an astrology course. It's not a mini course or anything like that. This is a tool. It's a kit, right? You'll be able to use this for every planetary retrograde. There's a section for each one of the planets in our zodiac. There is a deep dive into it through energy work. You're going to learn about the planet. You're going to learn about how long it takes to retrograde. You're going to learn all of that good stuff. And there's so much good, deep wisdom, knowledge, and information in this. I'm very proud of it. There is space for you to reflect and to journal. And again, this is not exhaustive. You will be able to use this for every single planetary retrograde from here until the end of time, right? So with that said, check all of those out in the description box below. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Let me know in the comments how this one shapes up for you. All right, take care, and I'll see you soon. Hi Libra, welcome to your mid-month check-in. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So I'm going to give these a shuffle. And for your first card out, you will have... So this is where you're at right now, okay? So you got the Four of Cups. First things first, if you are feeling a little bout of emotional stagnancy at this moment in time, you are encouraged to start thinking about how... So the thing that's really becoming evident to me about this card more and more as it comes up, and I begin to work with it and I see it in other people's readings, the Four of Cups is really a message to say that you already have the core components that you need. You just don't have the thing that you want. And you're looking so much or at the lack of the thing that you want that you're actually missing out on the fact that you have everything that you need in your arsenal or available to you to create the thing that you desire. And so right now, the best thing that you could do is to take a moment to take stock. Now, another way that you could see this, there is a big focus on the stability that you have in your world or the lack of it. And this is you really looking at how you build a foundation for yourself in the external. But really, this is one of those times where, you know, when they say as within, so without, this is really that. And you are encouraged, invited, and being asked to really think about where and how in your life can you establish the emotional foundation that you need in order to build the thing that you desire on the external plane. Because as we know, everything in life, right, is an inside job. You know, one of the examples that I like to give my students on my tarot course is when you look at a pen or a fork, once upon a time, that was just a thought in someone's mind, right? They thought about the necessity that they had and they turned that idea over and over in their minds. They were thinking about it, they were feeling into it, it was all of that, and they poured energy into it, and they poured energy into it, and emotion and all the rest of it, and hey presto, they ended up making the thing that they desired, that they had envisioned. Well, for you personally, you are being invited at the time of this new moon in the middle of this month, right? When this video is coming out, you're being asked to really think about how you can create an emotional foundation for yourself at this moment in time so that you can see what is available to you now a lot more clearly. All right, so that's kind of where you're at this moment in time. Then you've got the Lovers card in the position of what you need to work on now. And so this card, the Lovers card, yes, it's about love and relationship and partnerships. So first of all, let's start there. The emotional foundation that you have within your partnerships and your relationships, especially of a personal or intimate nature. If you're partnered, married, or in a long-term commitment, what is the status of the emotional foundation of that relationship? Is it healthy? Is it stuck? Does it need work? Does it need to be aired out? Does it need to be irrigated? Like, this is a time for you to really dig into that on the emotional level and ask yourself, are my needs being met? And if they're not, how is it that I can bring my attention and my focus to this to really get at the most out of it that it is that I really need? Now, if you're single, this could be that you're looking at the quality of the relationships that you already have. It could also be that maybe you're feeling the lack of a partner, but you're coming into the realization that something about your relating style as it relates to the tools that you have, right? Because we can only ever be in a relationship to the level of the consciousness or spiritual awareness that we have at any given moment. Now, another way that you could see this, because the Lovers is about choice. And so where is it that you are deferring your choices or the desires or the destinations that you wish to meet? Where are you delaying the journeys that you know you could take? Because you're telling yourself that you don't have the right things to start or embark on that journey, right? So I'm going to say this. If you had a loved one that was sick on the other end of a ravine and, you know, you had to get to them, you know, or something, you know, horrible was going to happen, you would find a way to cross that ravine. Even, like, obviously you wouldn't jump or whatever, right? But you would walk it. Even if you didn't have hiking boots, what would you say? Like, oh no, you know, I'm not going to hike to you because I haven't got the right shoes. And so the message here is, yes, okay, it might be uncomfortable for you to get started on something or to move towards something without what you perceive to be the correct tools. But that doesn't mean that you can't get started. And I always give this example. So I started Radiant Reality. When I say, if you'd have seen the fucking state of this iPad, with the most beat down iPad, I used to have to prop it up with sets of books and tape the books to the wall to stop it from falling over because I didn't have a stand. I used to have to block out the stuff in my bedroom with like a little piece of cardboard that I had. And you were basically looking into not just my bedroom, like my entire life was in that room, right? The reason I give you this example, and it's not to say like, oh, you know, if I can do it, you can do it. It's to say that if something is truly important to you, then you can embark on that journey without all of the fancy gadgets, tools, and things that you think you need in order to get your message out there, the desire that you want, the person that you want, all the things, right? So look beyond what your lack is right now and get started on the direction that you know you want to go. And it really is as simple as you making the decision, right? Making the choice. Once you make this choice, everything else is going to fall into place to support that choice. I can tell you that without a shadow of a doubt, because I've known it to be true in my own life and countless clients' lives over the years. Now, in terms of what needs to shift, you've got the King of Swords, right? So you've got the King of Swords here, coupled with the Lovers card. So that's a Gemini male. So whoever this person is, you've got a Gemini man that may feature for you, that could be a support for you, that may be giving you information that is pertinent, that's kind of getting you to say, okay, maybe this person is saying to you, you're not seeing this, right? You're not seeing it as clearly as you need to. It could be a partner or a loved one. They don't even have to be a Gemini. They could be a lover. They could be a partner. They could even be a sibling, right? That being said, this is a moment where one of your relationships is trying to highlight to you that actually what you need to do is sit in your expertise long enough to know that it's not the stuff that makes you the expert. It's what you know and how you apply it. Right, like real talk, like just that's as real as I can be with you. And so the invitation, right, with that King of Swords to shift something is to don the cloak, right, is to pick up the cape, is to put on the hero's mask, whatever you perceive that to be. It's for you to acknowledge and accept that you really are an expert, that you really are the highest expression of something in your life. There's a lot of responsibility very often. And what's really interesting is with this new moon that's coming in, that's happening for you. So if you're an ascendant Libra, or to a lesser degree the sun and the moon, but this is a ninth house new moon for you, right? This is about your beliefs and your perspectives. And at the same time, Mercury, the ruler of this new moon, is going to be in your 8th house, right? Which represents your no, it's not. It's good. Mercury, the ruler of this, yeah, it's going to be in your 8th house, and it's the ruler of your 9th, right? It's the ruler of your what's the word that I'm looking for? So the ruler of this new moon is Mercury, right? Mercury's in your 10th house in the sign of Cancer, in your most public space, where it's going to go retrograde at the end of this month. It's currently in that 10th house, but it's the ruler of your 9th house, and so therefore it's the ruler of this moon. And so it feels to me like not only are your beliefs, but also your wisdom, your knowledge, your skill set, your way of piecing together those bigger, larger ideas, your ways of understanding what people really need to know are really being filtered down to you, but you've got to accept the mantle, right? This is where you're being invited to become a teacher, as opposed to a teacher, a coach, a mentor, etc. Whereas, as opposed to just seeing one or having one. This is where you become that thing that you would go to for somebody else. And I kind of get the feeling, now that I really look at this triplet alone, that that's really the work that's being done through you at this moment in time, Libra. Now, what are the results if you make the shift? Well, you've got the 4 of Swords. What do we see here? 2 fours. 2 fours represent insomnia. And so if there are sleepless nights, if there are things that are keeping you up at the moment, my feeling about this is you're being kept awake at this moment in time because there are things that you can do that you're telling yourself you don't have the tools for. And so there's some part of you that's like, no, come on, you got to get going. Now, to bring this in, the 4 of Swords, the rest, the recuperation, the good sleep, the real sort of bone deep sleep that you say you need will come when you make the decision to start the journey. All right, the rest will fall into place. Don't worry about those details. Worry about that detail. Are you going to don the cloak? Are you going to step onto the path? Are you going to accept that great responsibility that's now sort of falling to you or onto your shoulders in some way, shape, or form? Are you ready to step up? Because the support will be there for you. Like, when I see this, like, there's no doubts about that whatsoever. Now, for those of you that are so inclined, if you would like, please don't forget you can book a personal tarot video with me on the link in the description box below. If you would like one of the much coveted Zoom sessions with me, then my books open at the very end of each month and fulfillment is the very next week after that. That being said, another thing that I do want you to consider here as well is that the Reydiant Reality birthday sale is coming up. 10 years this year. I always slash my prices in huge ways, so make sure you're there. I'm adding something special this year as well because it's a momentous occasion. And also, what was the other thing that I wanted to say to you? The retrograde survival kit. Remember, Mercury's going retrograde this month, so if you would like to explore that in a much deeper sense, it's not an astrology course. It's not a course at all. It's a survival kit, right? That's why it's called the retrograde survival kit. Every single planet goes retrograde. And if you want to work through those on an energy level, if you want to work through those with knowledge, information, there is a little bit of astrological insight and know-how, but it's more than that. This is about you working with the planets instead of against them to understand what the retrogrades are trying to teach you. And this one is taking place in your 10th house, the most visible part of your chart. It's currently discounted by £25, so if you'd like to get that, there's a link in the description box below as well. Please don't forget to hype the video. I would so appreciate it. Please don't forget to like the video, and if you would like to, remember you can join my channel memberships. With that said, take care and I'll see you soon. Hi Scorpio, welcome to your mid-month check-in. So this is the deck that I'll be using for you today. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So I'm going to give these a little shuffle and then we are going to get started. So for your first card out, and I apologise, as you can hear, between the crazy British weather and hay fever season, I am completely bunged up at the moment, so I apologise for the sniffing and sputtering. Now, for your first card out, you've got the Knight of Cups. So what this tells me about where you're at the moment is you are putting out multiple feelers, right? So this is where you're at right now. And what this tells me is you have just started on a project that is potentially very dear to your heart, that something within you feels really called to start or maybe to find momentum with. And what this tells me is you're putting the feelers out and the energy out in a direction that you are hoping that there will be some result and or growth or development from. Now, what this also tells me is that you are in the process of creating opportunities for yourself rather than sort of passively sitting back and waiting for things to unfold for you. You are really getting stuck in and saying, you know what, I'm going to create, maybe not my own luck, but I'm going to create my own momentum from here. What this also tells me is that right now, there are multiple opportunities for you to delve really deeply into your emotional sphere. Mercury is going to go retrograde at the end of the month in the sign of Cancer, in your 9th house. As if all of that wasn't enough, what's really intriguing to me here as well is that you have we've got the new moon around this time, right? So around the mid-month we've got that new moon in the sign of Gemini, which if you're an ascendant Scorpio, this will be your 8th house to a lesser degree but still relevant from those points. It's also the 8th house from your sun or your moon, right? And so there is this deep need for both connection and intimacy at this time. But I think this is about you really cultivating a deeper sense of, let me create my own momentum. Let me create, not my own luck, but it's like you're kind of saying, you know what? Charm, focus, and camaraderie really can't hurt in the face of everything that that I'm wanting to do. And in fact, they're actually going to be things that I need, or tools that I will need moving forward. Now, in terms of what your attention is being brought to, you've got the Seven of Wands. And so I will say your attention is being brought to, and maybe you're needing to reflect on where there are conflicts, right? Whether this is within you, whether this is in some of the relationships that you are attached to. I think for a lot of you, there is a really powerful focus on the discordant elements in your world at this moment in time. And I don't see this as a bad thing, actually. I think this is you really paying deep attention to where you know things are slightly off kilter, where you know certain relationships, certain ties, certain connections, commitments, or maybe even certain desires are going to naturally create either some form of distance or some form of dissonance. And so it does, I don't know, for me, I just kind of feel like you're in this process where there's a lot going on there's always a lot going on within the Scorpio realm, right? But I think there's a lot going on within you where you're trying to reconcile some form of internal conflict, and I think some kind of external conflict. But the weird thing is, it's very Scorpio, right? There's a bit of a passive aggressive energy about this. It's kind of like that there's something wrong, or something that you deem to be sort of not right, at least. Maybe there's nothing wrong, but you know that something isn't necessarily going or functioning in the way that it should. And there's that natural tendency for Scorpio to look beneath the surface. And actually, with this Seven of Wands in this position, it suggests that really the problem does actually lie with you. And that's not a bad thing at all. It's not a diss. It's not me being shady. It's me saying there's obviously something here that you're being invited to really look at a deeper level. And by doing so, you're going to realize there's some kind of internal conflict about what you're either wanting to do or have already set into motion. And now you're coming up against sort of roadblocks, challenges, or issues. You're being asked to really observe, like, okay, where is it that actually I am the thing that's getting in the way of the desire that I have, right? Sometimes we are the problem in our own way. And so with that Seven of Wands, you're being encouraged, you're being invited to really say, okay, you know what? Where am I getting in the way of this thing unfolding in the way that I want it to be? And because sometimes it's unconscious, sometimes we really aren't aware of this stuff. Yes, even you, Scorpio, right? We all have blind spots to some degree. Now, in terms of what needs to shift, you've got the Eight of Pentacles. So for a lot of you, something about your work, something about your profession or your career, you're starting to realize very quickly, like, something has to change here. Something has to give. Something about the situation or the experience that I keep having, that I keep coming back to, needs to be shifted. And so what's kind of happening right now is you're being invited to look at where maybe you need to till the inner soil so that you can start making shifts and changes on the internal level that in turn really allow you not only to have more of the good stuff from these opportunities that you're trying to create for yourself, but also more space, time, and freedom in order to be unencumbered as you go from A to B. Does that make sense? I hope so. Now, another way that you could see this, because it's the Eight of Pentacles, you are being invited to shift how you work on things. This isn't necessarily, saying like, oh, you need to change your approach. You might actually need to change the tool that you're using, right? You don't bring a flamethrower to a gun, as the saying goes. Unless it's one of those big industrial incinerator things that, works in seconds. In which case, have at it, go for it. It kind of feels like there's something here where you're just trying to use the wrong tool for the wrong job. And making it harder for it's like trying to cut the grass with scissors, right? you could just get a strimmer or a lawnmower. You're going to save yourself a lot of time, a lot of hassle, you know, in the long run, in the grand scheme of things. So where is it maybe that the tool that you're trying to use is the thing that's really is not helping you in the way that you would like it to? All right, just something to consider. And then finally, in terms of what the results are should you change the tools that you're working with, you've got the Page of Swords. So as an example, right, let's say you are absolutely fantastic at calligraphy, right? Okay, you're a master calligraphist. Fantastic. I was obsessed with calligraphy when I was little. I loved it. I thought it was amazing. So the message that's coming through here with the Page of Swords is once you shift the tool, you then have to learn how to work with the tool in a different medium. So I'm going to give you an example, right? This might not be the best example, but I hope it illustrates the point. So you're a master calligraphist, and then someone says to you, wow, have you ever thought about doing Chinese or Japanese writing, right? Or even, you know what, let's go even further than that. Or what do they call it? The graffiti artistry, right? So you're going from this thing that's very small, that's very precise, that's very contained, to much bigger, much broader, and having to use, you know, similar skills, but in a different way, or different tools to meet the same thing. So what does that prompt? Well, it prompts learning. You're going to have to learn. You're going to have to learn new skills. You're going to have to learn new approaches. You're going to have to learn new techniques. And with this Page of Swords, this suggests that this new moon in particular, funnily enough, right, because the new moon is in your 8th house, but the ruler of that new moon, Mercury, is in your 9th house, right, which is a learning house. It's a learning and expansion of mind energy. And so you're kind of being urged to say, like, if you make the shift and change the tools, that's fine, but you are going to have to learn. And that's what's going to expand you. And more importantly, it's what's going to feed into you creating more momentum for yourself, but also more opportunities for yourself in the long run. If you would like to book a personal tarot video with me, you can do so on the link in the description box below. If you don't know, then the Reydiant Reality sale is upcoming. It's 10 years this year. Can you believe it? So if you'd like to bag yourself a bargain, stay tuned for all of that. You'll be hearing about it. I've got something special lined up with this one this year as well. As if all of that wasn't enough, we also have, so every month at the tail end of the month, I open up my books for bookings, and then fulfillment week is literally the very week after. So if you want to get a much coveted Zoom session and you want to get one at a decent, well, I say a decent price, at an amazing price, because obviously we'll be holding the sale at the same time, then you know what to do. So if you're not on my mailing list, you won't be getting the first heads up, and so my mailing list always get the first dibs. Then I open it up to YouTube. Now, as if all of that wasn't enough, the retrograde of Mercury that's going to be happening in your 9th house could see you returning to school or learning something new, or redefining or rejigging the skills or the knowledge that you have in a certain area, or reusing or repurposing the tools that you have to meet a different need. Now, if you would like to delve deeply into that Mercury retrograde and every other subsequent planetary retrograde that comes after this, the retrograde survival kit is currently £25 off in honour of the Mercury retrograde that's coming, but it's all planets. Mercury right the way through Pluto. You're going to get insights about the planet. It's not an astrology course. This is a survival kit, right? Quite literally. You got energy work to work with the planets and the energy while these are going retrograde, so that you can get that much deeper and closer to what's going on with you, and what your real nature, what the real nature of the relationship that you have with that planet actually is. Some of the deepest stuff that I've ever done. If you are up for it and you really want to delve into it and understand how these retrogrades are unfolding for you, like I said, for the rest of your life, you can use these every single time every one of our planets goes retrograde. All right, with that said, there's a link for that in the description box below as well. With that said, take care. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. Please don't forget to like the video and hype the video. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Hi Sagittarius, welcome to your mid-month check-in. So this is the deck that I'll be using for you today. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So I'm going to give these a shuffle and we are going to get stuck into it. So your first card out, this is really about where you're at right now. Okay, so let's have a look. You have the Eight of Wands, right? So this is, I can't remember, I think it's called the Black deck, but when I saw them, I was absolutely enamored by them. I think they're so beautiful. They're very gothic, dark, extremely noir, and I love them. They're just so, anyway, enough about the deck craft. So you got the Eight of Wands here for where you're at right now. And for a lot of you, this will be the information that is flowing back and forth is coming at you sort of hard and fast. What I feel from this is that actually there's probably some form of negotiation that's happening for a lot of you. So there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of things that are unfolding or developing behind the scenes, and it's giving you a real sort of cause or pause for thought, so to speak. So whatever is unfolding at this moment in time, it does feel like you are both gathering and sifting through the information, and you're doing this at an alarming rate. Now, Sagittarians are very intelligent people anyway, and you do have that ability to really see the bigger picture. However, this to me feels like there's a lot more focus on the detail at the moment, and the sheer amount of information that's flowing backwards and forwards for you, to you, at you, to you, from you, all the rest of it seems to be somewhat overwhelming. But I kind of feel like there's a part of you that was prepared for this. It's almost like you knew this was coming, you're in the thick of it right now, and it's almost like you've said to yourself, okay, you know what, grin and bear this period, because after this I can relax. It's like one of those times where you've got a killer week coming up, and so you're like, okay, you know what, I just have to put my blinkers on and get my way through it, and I'll deal with the aftermath later, right? I can pass out and sleep for a week once it's over. It feels like a lot of you are in the thick of that at this moment in time. Now, at this point, at the midpoint of the month, we've got the new moon in the sign of Gemini, so right opposite the sky for you. From an ascendant perspective, this would be your 7th house to a lesser degree, but still relevant, the sun and the moon. That 7th house is contracts, it's partnerships, it's where you're forging connections with people that you have to sort of effectively sign on the dotted line for. And so this Eight of Wands starts to make a lot of sense to me, because it suggests that you are very focused right now on the particular details of deals, negotiations, any and all things such as, right? Now you add to that, obviously, that Mercury is going to go retrograde at the end of this month as well. So do keep that in mind. If you can get it wrapped up sort of now, right, then better for it. That being said, a new moon is a dark moon. It's not necessarily the best time. Certainly in the astrological community, we understand that the time it's of the new moon itself, it's great for seeding intentions. It's great for, planning the things that you're going to initiate, but it's not the best time to actually move forward with something. So if you are signing any contracts at this time, please read and reread the information that comes up. Then in the position of what you need to work on, right? What needs working on right now, you've got the Fool card. So if you've been with me long enough, I always say new things, new places, new people, new energies that are coming in. This, coupled with the Eight of Wands, could quite literally see a lot of you focused on a new place, or potentially even a new tract of land. That's quite possible. That being said, this is what your attention is being called to at this moment in time. This is what you're likely to be really reflecting very deeply on. And the fact that it is the Fool card does suggest that there is not only new information coming in, new stimuli, but it also suggests that that whatever is new, whatever the new elements are that are being introduced into your life, these things, before you start really knitting and weaving them into your day-to-day experience, into your actual life, you're being encouraged to really think about how it is that you can how is this actually going to affect you, right? I think is what's really coming through here. Like, how is this, let me just do that, how is this going to show up for you? Or how is it that these new things, places, people, situations, energies are weaving into your day-to-day experience? And maybe these contract negotiations or talks or, conflabs, let's say, that are happening at the moment are actually you talking about how you're going to welcome this new thing, person, place, situation, etc. into your life in a way that it's fully integrated into your experience, as opposed to something that comes in and completely disrupts or jars it. So there's a lot to be said here, and it's really interesting that it's a new moon as well. Now, in the position of what needs to change, you've got the Four of Cups. So one thing that I will say is, when it comes to your... so when it comes to the internal emotional state, I want you to try, sometimes we just have to grin and bear it and deal with what we have on the table. Sometimes we don't have the time, the space, or the effort, the bandwidth, quite frankly, to, really deal with how we feel about something at the same time as doing it. I know this is one thing. So obviously you guys know I have, I've never been officially diagnosed, but, it's a big thing at the moment in the world, isn't it? Right? People recognizing their stuff. And the more I read and research about, ADHD and, the various sort of offshoots of that, the more I realize, like, okay, yeah, it's probably, as I say, it's not an official diagnosis. I've never actually had that, but I can recognize enough of those things within myself to know that that is something that I have, right? I can see it really, really clearly. And in hindsight, it's made so many other things in my world click. Like, I understand, like, oh, that's why I'm so good at these things, and it's why these things are no good for me, right? It's all the things. Even my Myers-Briggs, I did my Myers-Briggs, officially did that 4 years ago, and I came up as an INFJT, which made so much sense to me. Like, just reading it back, I was like, oh my god, that's right, yeah, that's me. All right. Anyway, the reason I tell this story is one thing that I'm really good at. The stuff like this is not my real strong suit, right? But you give me a crisis, all of my friends and family know this, right? Like, if it's the little stuff, I'm a bit like, yeah, right? But if you say, Raf, shit's going down, there's a crisis, blah, 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 I do this really well. I can go in, I can compartmentalize, I can literally switch my feelings off and say, right, this is what we need to deal with. These are the solutions, bish, bash, bosh, done, done, done. Right? I do that really, really well. This Four of Cups, I promise there's a reason for me waffling on about myself. This Four of Cups, then, in the position of what's needing to shift, you are being asked, or it's the suggestion here is, you, with all of this new stuff coming in, with all of this new stimuli coming in, with all of these new interactions, etc. coming in, you're going to have to put your feelings to the side, right? This is, and it's not to say don't feel about the situation or anything like that. You can't be who you're not, right? None of us can. That's life. What you will find easier, like, you'll find it easier to navigate whatever this situation is if you're able to say, right, let me take the emotion out of it and deal with the facts. Let me just do what needs to be done at this moment in time, even if it feels really new, even if I feel like a little bit of a fool because I'm having to do this thing off the fly, or it's a little bit janky, but it's what needs to be done at this moment in time. once you've done that, once you have, put all of the things aside and done what needs to be done, you can then sort of unpick and unpack your feelings around it. And it's not always a good solution. However, sometimes to get something done, we just need to get the fuck out of our feelings and get on with whatever it is that's in front of us, right? And, I can talk to you Saggies like that. Saggies are really cool. You're, very warm, very approachable, very expansive beings. There's one thing that I love about my Saggies is there's a lot of room within you for stuff, right? And that's that Jupiterian quality that you have. When it's conscious, I might add. I know a lot of very narrow-minded Sagittarians, if some that think they're expansive. Swings and roundabouts. You get everything in every sign. Now, if you make these shifts, you then get the Seven of Cups. Now, somebody else got this card in this position. And what I think this is about, because usually this is not an easy card, right? I often say to people, don't spread yourself too thin. Maybe you've got to take something off the table, spinning too many plates, yada, yada, yada. But if you are able to take the emotion out of it, the Seven of Cups is what shows up for you as a result of the shift that you're making. And so what I love about this for you then is not only does this create more opportunities for you, it actually gives you something that Sagittarius energy really thrives on, which is more options. And that is something that could really, really benefit you at this time. If you're able to take your feelings out of the equation, you're going to realize very, very quickly that there are more options available to you than at this moment in time, right? And all it's going to take is something that you guys do, fucking change of perspective, seeing the broader picture, all the rest of it. That's bread and butter for a Saggy, right? Like, if you can get out of your feelings long enough, you will be able to see, like, oh, actually, yeah, like, I've got a heck of a lot more options available to me than I realized at this moment in time. And all it took was that shift in perspective, which is something that you guys do in your sleep very, very well. All right, so that's what I've got for you this month. A few offers. If you want to book a personal tarot reading with me, it's a personal tarot video. It's like, this is nothing, right? This is what I do in my tarot videos are way more in depth than this, and they're personalized to you specifically. If you would like to get one of the coveted Zoom sessions with me, I open my books once a month for the period ahead. You can book in then. My mailing list will always get priority, so I always announce my books are open on there first. Then I announce it on the YouTube channel. This year, at this time, you will be able to get some incredible discounts because Radiant Reality turns 10 years old this year. Can you believe it? So every year around this time, around the business birthday, I slash my prices so that you guys can bag a bargain and all of that good stuff. So you'll be hearing about that very, very soon. So keep an eye out because it will be first come, first served. There are only a certain amount of slots that I can fit in because I've got a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes at this moment in time. And then when it comes to the last thing that I wanted to add is obviously Mercury's going retrograde at the end of this month. And so the retrograde survival kit is not a course. This is not an astrology course. It's not anything like that. This is about you working with the planetary energies in a very deeply integrative and very personal way. It's akin to shadow work. It's going to be some of the deepest work that you ever do around planetary retrogrades. It's energy work. You've got remedies in there. You've got, Rafi loves a PDF, right? You've got PDF booklets to write in there to really unpick and unpack things. As if all of that wasn't enough, the energy work in there, I personally delved into each and every planet, and it's not just for Mercury retrograde, it's for every single planetary retrograde. This is inexhaustive. You can use this again and again for every single planetary retrograde from Mercury right the way through to Pluto. It's currently £25 off. This was a labor of love, and when I say it is vast, when you get in there and see how much is in there for the price that I've created, you will understand its value instantly. You Saggies probably more than... Actually, do you know what? When I think about it, I actually think it's probably better suited to you guys. And I don't say that just because, you know, I've given this a similar message about the kit to everybody, but when I really think about what I've created in there and the vastness of the suite of the product that it is, I do think it's probably better suited for you, Scorpio, Aquarius, yeah, I think those three, and probably Pisces as well, actually. I think you guys are the 4 signs that are probably most suited to it. Anyway, there's a link for all of those things in the description box below. Let me know in the comments how this shapes up for you. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Hi Capricorn, my wonderful Cappies. So this is the deck that I'm going to be using for you today. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms, or deck of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So I'm going to give these a shuffle. And we're going to get stuck straight in. So for your first card out, this is about where you're at right now. And you have the 2 of Wands, right? So in terms of where you're at the moment, 2 paths are diverging in front of you. On the one hand, I think this is probably for a lot of you a very deep decision that you're making internally about the actions that you're about to take. I don't know if you've seen that meme that says, if you ever if I tell you how many people have sent me this meme, I don't know whether to be offended or impressed or a little bit of both. And it literally says, if you ever hear me say fuck it, just know that I'm about to make a lot of very questionable decisions. Now, Capricorn doesn't do that, right? We know this. I'm an Aquarius Sun and Mercury with a Leo Ascendant, so I'm naturally very impulsive. All that aside, this feels to me like there is a decision that is forming within you that is probably very different to anything that you would usually do or pursue. And because it goes above and beyond what would be the Capricorn norm, it does feel to me like this is a very big decision. It's a weighty decision that I think you know is going to affect a lot of people. It's going to see you really looking at or considering a different version of life to what you have now. And it may be vastly different to what you expect, right? And so my feeling behind this actually is that it's very positive. It just feels like it is a big decision that you're making internally. What I can vouch for, right, is that at the midpoint of this month, we've got the Gemini new moon happening on the 15th. Obviously, there's a video for that. Do check it out. There's messages for all 12 signs, etc. Now, certainly from an ascendant perspective, to a lesser degree, the sun and the moon still relevant. This is happening for you in your 8th house. And so, your 6th house, not your 8th house. And so my feeling about this, because this new moon is actually ruled by Mercury, and Mercury's in your 7th house, right? So the moon and Mercury at this time are going to be in a mutual reception. That matters, right? And the reason I think this matters, especially for you, is whatever this big decision is that you're making in the depths of who you are, that could financially, materially, locationally really change your life in a very big way. It feels to me that, you know, like once I start down, because that's the other thing as well, right? Capricorn is a cardinal sign. Once you guys decide on a decision that you, woe be fucking tired anyone that gets in the way of that goat, right? Like once a Capricorn has all of the cardinal signs are like this, but if listen, you want to know about stubborn? The fixed signs are stubborn, but the most stubborn signs, Capricorn, Taurus, Aquarius, Scorpio. You want to know about stubborn? Those 4 signs in particular are basically immovable. Once they have decided on a course of action, that's all there is. Like, a lot of people might say, like, oh, but Aries, because it's cardinal fire. If you distract Aries and give them something else shiny to chase, they'll go off in a different direction, right? That's quite easy to work with. No shade or anything to Aries. I love my Aries people. I've got a lot of them in my family. A lot of them, including my dear Ma. All of that aside, Capricorn is fixed. So my feeling is that once, it's like, once I make this decision, that's it, right? I'm locked in, right? Like, you're going in this direction. So I do feel that at this time you will be making a very big decision, even that if that decision is only being made internally for now, it will very quickly, certainly over the course of the next 6 months, develop into something that starts to permeate your everyday experience. Why? Because the new moon itself, even though, not all of you will be ascendant Capricorns, but the new moon itself happening in that sixth space from your sun, moon, or ascendant sign is about your locality, your day-to-day experience. But you take that even further, the results of this new moon will start to unfold as we get to the corresponding full moon, which will be around December, just before we step into Capricorn season. Right? So whatever you're setting up at this moment in time, whatever decision you're making, it is a big decision, one that is going to affect your future, but also the people that you're tied to at this moment in time. What this also tells me is that where you are at right now is really owning and claiming yourself on a deep emotional level and setting up your inner world. So in terms of what needs working on now, you've got the Queen of Pentacles. So Queen of Pentacles has a lot to do with, the Queen of Pentacles is usually an earth sign woman, Taurus, Capricorn, or Virgo. So in some way, shape, or form, the thing that's being brought to your attention, whether you're a man or a woman, doesn't matter, right? This could be an earth sign person. The thing that's being brought to your attention at this moment in time, and the thing that you are reflecting most deeply on, is how you grow, change, adapt, and increase and enhance yourself. And that's really where your focus should be at this moment in time. And this is what tells me the decision that you're making is really about gaining, growing, or enhancing the life that you have so that you can have more life. This isn't necessarily like the money is a byproduct, right? There'll be more money regardless. This feels to me like your focus and your attention are being brought to your own physical health and vitality, your own needs, your own experience, but more importantly, your own desires. What is it that I truly want that is going to make me happy? And, lots of people might see that and think, oh, that's truly selfish, blah, 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 blah. Like, what fucking ever? You have one life that you're going to live. YOLO, TYR. So my little sister is, funnily enough, she's a Capricorn. And so we used to have this joke. Obviously, when we were younger, everyone used to be like YOLO, because we're naughties, young people, right? So we used to laugh about it because everyone would be like, YOLO, man, you only live once. And I used to say TYR, and everyone would just be like, okay, why does Raph always have to be the weird one? So anyway, she gets my humor. We're like two peas in a pod. She's like a female Raph. Imagine, right? Just imagine for a second. So anyway, she got into the habit as well. So whenever somebody would say YOLO, we would say TYR. And everyone would be like, what are you talking about? What is TYR? That you remember. You only live once. That you remember. Right? And that's what I've always believed that. Yeah, you reset when you're born, but when your soul comes back, maybe you have snippets of memory from your previous life, or you have deja vus or experiences where you think, I've done this before and I think I chose something else, right? Whatever the case might be. I think this is you starting to understand, like, actually, I have this one life. And in order for me to really extract the fucking very juice of this life, I'm going to have to consider myself and my life and the direction that I want this to go in more than I ever have before, which includes making very, very different decisions. So what needs to shift in order for you to do that? Well, you need to get a handle on your emotions. I know, dear Capricorns, I know. Logic, intelligence, facts, figures, structure, hierarchy, discipline, determination, focus, all of those things you do really, really well. Creativity and emotions are not necessarily your realm of expertise. And yet, the King of Cups is very much about commanding your emotional or your internal world. And this is what you are being encouraged to think about at this moment in time. Now, what I want to say about this is it's the King of Cups, usually a water sign male, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. Whoever this person is could be very well helping you make this decision. That could be directly, or it could just be that by observing somebody who is a water sign male, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, you could be looking at things and saying, right, okay, you know what, when I take that as an example, right? So let's do this for a second. When I take this as an example, and when I consider this, man or woman, whatever you are, whoever you are watching this, right? And I consider myself, and I weigh that against the example that I have seen in somebody else and how they do this, what does that make me feel about what my decision should be moving forward, right? What does that make me think that I should be doing next? And this is it, right? So in terms of what needs to shift, well, the other thing with the King of Cups, because his ability, so each one of the court cards, as I always say, they've all got a special power. The Queen of Pentacles is about increasing the yield, getting the most out of what you have. That the King of Cups he's got the ability to use his intuition in a business sense. No other king is able to do like yes, you'll have people that are intuitive or whatever, and the King of Cups doesn't always have to be a water sign person. That could be somebody's character or their energy or their outlook or whatever. But whoever the King of Cups represents, usually this person is able to use their intuitive ability in their work and or their business pursuits. That is his special power, right? So this coming up here, you are being asked to start using whatever spiritual or intuitive faculty you have to approach your working, professional, academic, or even working, professional, academic, that whole sphere, right? Life, to get the most out of it. That's the shift that needs to take place. And so you got to start commanding your emotions. Why? Because when you're really in touch with your emotional energy, you're able to understand your intuitive faculty that much more. And when you understand your intuitive faculty and how it speaks to you and how it prods and pokes you, you know what's for you and what's not for you, right? And that's always, like, if you've been with me long enough, you know this is how I kind of see it. So in the early days, when I was just this ball of emotional, intuitive energy, I used to kind of get everything all at once. And so I was like, it's a lot, right? So I'm trying to filter it out. And in the end, this is in the very, very early stages, I managed to learn to differentiate it between two sensations. I would get what I call the popcorn machine in my chest. So it's like this light, buzzy, poppy feeling, right? Where I'd feel like, okay, yeah, this feels good, right? Or the roller coaster gut. You know when you're on a roller coaster and you feel your gut go, right? And you're like, right? It pulls you down for a moment. That gut instinct, I started to differentiate between the two. The roller coaster gut is a hard no. Even if this is something that I truly wanted, that I thought, well, this is going to be an amazing opportunity. Roller coaster gut, okay, this is a no. Right? Popcorn chest, I don't know if I want to do this. Popcorn chest, okay, fine, we're going. Right? That was it. In the very early days of my intuition, I had to differentiate between the two. One was a hard yes, one was a hard no. Over the years, it's become a lot more refined and a lot more nuanced, and I can work with it and probe into it better than ever before. But that's how I started. And I tell you this story Because what's opening up for you at the time of this new moon, interestingly enough, that new moon for you happening in the 6th house. What is the 6th house? The physical health and the vitality, the body. Alright, how you use your body on a day-to-day experience. So the fact that you've got this King of Cups here, I think speaks volumes for you. What are the results of the shift? Well, once you make this shift, I think there's going to be something that you walk away from, whether that's a job, whether it's a location, whether it's a career direction in general. For some of you, I do think this will end up with you moving abroad. I would put money on it that within 12 to 18 months, I think a lot of Capricorns will have left the country that they currently live in. I would not be surprised to find this out. That's a very long prediction, considering this is just a mid-month check-in. We'll see how it unfolds, but mark this date and come back to me 18 months from now and let me know how it unfolds. Another way that you could see this as well, because it is the 8 of Cups, there is an action that you are deciding to take that is going to address or redress a balance of power. And when it does, I think this is going to see you feeling a lot freer, a lot more liberated, but also a lot more in command of your personal voice of authority in some way, shape or form. I'm intrigued. Now, with that said, if you want to book a personal tarot video with me, you can do so on the link in the description box below. They are, I mean, this is nothing, right? A tarot video is a lot more in depth than this, and it's personalized to you. If you want one of the much coveted Zoom spots, so I open up my books once a month for the corresponding time of the month, so you can book a session. We'll get into it over Zoom this year. So around this time every year, my business is turning 10 years old. Can you believe it? So if you want to book a Zoom session and you want to get one at a really good price, I slash my prices every year at this time, but more so this year because it's literally like my 10-year anniversary, so I can't believe it. So if you want to bag a real bargain, you can do that on the link in the description box below. Actually, you need to be on the mailing list because they always get first dibs and they usually clear out the spots that I have available. So if you are not on my mailing list, you'll have to wait until I announce to YouTube that the books are open. And I don't know what's going to be left by then. Finally, the retrograde survival kit. Mercury's going to go retrograde in your 7th house at the end of this month. If you would like to understand retrograde planets that much deeper, this is not an astrology course. This is an energy work based survival kit, right? And this is all planets, Mercury right the way through Pluto. You're going to delve deeply into each one of these planets. There's PDF guides for you to work through. There's remedies for each planetary retrograde. There is energy work sections. Like when you see the vastness of what I've put in this product for the price, you will be amazed. It's some of the deepest work that you will ever do around planetary retrogrades. And this is why I say it's not an astrology course. This is not about that. This is about you working with those planetary retrogrades to really understand what this means for you and how to understand it in your own life and how it unfolds for you as the transit unfolds while it's taking place. With that said, let me know in the comments what you think about this. Thank you so much. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Hi Aquarius, my sun sign brothers and sisters. Welcome to your mid-month check-in. So this is the deck code I'll be using for you today. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So I'm going to give these a shuffle and we are going to get stuck in straight into it. So for your, remember, if this looks like an awful shuffle, I do shuffle all of my cards before I get on camera, but I like to do it on camera so that you know that it's just kind of luck of the draw, right? What you get is what you get. Now with your, and for your, where are you at now? So you got the World card. This is beautiful, Aquarius, right? This is a great place to be and a wonderful place to start. Now, if you're hearing this and you're thinking, well, Raf, it hasn't been wonderful recently, that's because you are at the end of a cycle, Aquarius. Like whenever the World card shows up, This is the card that basically says, like, you graduated, right? So all of the hard work, the effort, the toil, the blood, sweat, tears, you know, all the shit that comes with it, unfortunately, you have reached the end of a cycle and you are much richer for it. So where you're at this moment in time, you're about to start making some very big decisions, some very big moves. You're also about to start receiving and stepping into or onto your new or your next level. And in some cases, for some of you, this could even be on a global scale. Now, this doesn't mean that suddenly you're all going to be famous and millionaires and all the rest of it. This could be in your personal world. This could be within your job. For some of you, this could be a promotion. For others, this could be that you successfully passed the year that you're in school or college or university, whatever it is. It could even be that just with your family, you step into a new era of the way that things are going to be after a very challenging period. This to me suggests that you have integrated all of your past and you're ready to start making all of the lessons that you've had to endure up until now into the solid platform from which you absolutely launch into a new paradigm and a new era of self. This is totally on brand at this moment in time, especially with the fact that you've got Pluto moving through your sign. We're just about to have a new moon in the sign of Gemini, which for you represents the 5th house. As if all of that wasn't enough. You know, right, this new moon, certainly from the 5th house perspective, so from the Ascendant Aquarians to a lesser degree, but still relevant, the sun and the moon, this is a fresh start in how you express yourself, the things that you desire and the things that you go for, and also where it is that you are willing to take a calculated risk and go for it in some way, shape or form. Armed with previous knowledge, armed with a few battle scars, right, in order to have the strength to sustain so that you can go on to do what you need to do. I actually think this is a wonderful space to start, especially because it does suggest that as a result of this midpoint of the month and from this point onwards, especially with that new moon, whose ruler, Mercury, by the way, is going to go retrograde in your 6th house, right? So there's a lot going on here, really a lot going on, because Mercury and the moon, obviously at the time of the moon, are going to be in what we call a mutual reception. And so this does suggest that your day-to-day experience, your work, your profession, your personal business, if you have one, maybe even some form of a personal glow-up, is all about to go through a very big, very profound shift in some way, shape or form that opens up a brand new world for you, right? So for some of you, this might open up the world. And for others of you, this might open up your world, right? So either which way, where's the lose in the situation? There isn't one. So, okay, now Tarot's just showing off. So in terms of what your attention is being brought to right now, what do you need to work on, right? Where is your attention being brought to? And more importantly, what are you reflecting on? The nature of cycles, patterns, seasons, and reasons, the nature of how things change, move, adapt, and evolve, the nature of luck, right? This is called literally the Wheel of Fortune. And when I say these two cards have a lot in common, I mean the fact that one is a wheel and the other one has a wreath that is reminiscent of a wheel. You can't see it in this deck, but in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, these two cards are very, very similar in so many different ways. And the fact that you have the Wheel of Fortune here suggests that trusting the universal construct, trusting that luck, fate and fortune are always working in your favor, even when it feels like you're being taken further away from what you desire, you're always being taken closer to what is for you, right? You might be taken away from what you want, but you're definitely heading towards what you need. The universe is a very wise being that knows what it's doing. So take that in stride. Now, the other thing with the Wheel of Fortune, in terms of what you are focused on, what your attention is being brought to the fact that change really is in the air, right? I said this a while ago, so if you're on my mailing list, you know, obviously Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I send out emails to everybody talking about various different things. Sometimes a lot of the time it's stuff that I wouldn't talk about here on YouTube. but I don't know if it was last week or the week before. I pulled, so the Six of Wands has been very active for about, I would say probably about 3 months, right? But this time when I pulled the Six of Wands, something was different. I could feel that there was a shift or a change in the energy. And it feels to me like the balance, even with everything that's going on the wider world stage, the balance has just ever so slightly tipped towards the light. I really feel this in my bones, right? And I've been feeling it for a while. And when I saw that Six of Wands, when I turned the card over to do the card of the week email, which always goes out on a Monday, it really, like, I was like, oh, okay, like, right, it was same Six of Wands. I've pulled it hundreds of times for various different clients, readings that I've done on YouTube, whatever. But something was different this time, and I felt it. I was like, there's a lightness here. Something has shifted, something has changed. And I think what you are feeling, what your attention is being brought to with this 5th house new moon in the sign of Gemini, interestingly enough, the 5th house is all about luck. It's a very lucky space in the chart. And this, coupled with this Wheel of Fortune here, as you know, what your attention is being brought to is the fact that actually there is luck surrounding you. There is change on the horizon, that things really are shifting, changing and moving, and they're shifting and changing and moving in the best direction for you. This is a time to really trust that the universe has your back. This is one of the things that I think is really being highlighted to you, and the fact that you have one card that represents the world opening up, or your world opening up, and another card that represents things going your way or your luck shifting for the better. These coupled and combined also suggest that an international or worldly endeavor or pursuit is about to find you in some way, shape or form. This is very, very exciting, Aquarius. Now, so what needs to shift? What needs to happen in order for you to see the results that you would like? So you've got the Two of Swords. This is twofold, right? The first one is you're going to need to trust your internal self, your intuition, your mind, your own thoughts, your own history, your own ability to know when to move, when to act, trusting yourself in short, right? So one part of this that needs to shift is that self-trust really needs to come in here. The other part of this is you stay silent until it's done, whatever it might be. This could be a move, it could be a business deal, it could be a contract, it could be a conversation, it could be the official are we or aren't we, you know, or what are we conversation, like we're, you know, are we a couple, are we not a couple? It could be you know, I made an investment, right? I put money in this thing, and now I just have to see. The message behind this is whatever you move on, whatever you decide, you're going to have to keep your mouth shut. This is one of those times, Aquarius, and I believe this. I really believe this. Every so often in our lives, there are things that we kind of make a secret or silent pact with the universe on or about, where we just have to do it, get it done, and then tell everyone about it once it's complete, once it's successful, once it's whatever. You will know what this is for you, right? And I don't want to see, you know, I don't want you to air your business out here on YouTube. What I do want you to do, if you know exactly what this is for you, what this thing is, or when you see this reading and after this reading it shows up for you within the next 2-week period, right? Because this is a mid-month check-in. I want you to come back to this video and I want you to put the shush emoji in the comment, right? So whether this is your Aquarius sun, moon or ascendant, I want you to come back. I want you to put the Aquarius emoji next to the shush emoji, right? Or the quiet lipped emoji. The reason I want you to do this is I want to see when this unfolds and how many people it unfolds for. I'm really, really excited about this. You will know that, like, and this is the thing, I know probably a lot of you are like, oh, but how will I know, Raf? How will I know? Right? How will you know? You will know it. I tell you, with these two cards, you'll know it, like as the Oracle says to Neo, balls to bone. You will feel it. Like, you'll be like, this is it. this is that thing. I can't tell anyone what it is. I can't share it with anyone right now because it's not baked, it's not cooked. You don't want to open the oven before the cake has risen, right? You don't want to do any of that. So you're just going to have to take it. You're going to have to work on it. You're going to have to do the thing, seal the deal. Once it's done, once it's ready, once you're ready to celebrate, you can then say to everybody, look at this, right? Look at what's happened. Look at what I've done. Look at what happened for me, to me, blah, 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 blah. Aquarius emoji, shush emoji. Whether this is your sun, moon, or ascendant that you're watching for, I want you to come back to this video and I want you to share just that with me, right? This has to be between you and the universe, but you will absolutely know what it is. That I am 100% very, very clear on you. And if something happens for you and you think, oh, I don't know, like, oh, maybe I can share this or maybe I can't. No, it's not that. You will know, because as soon as it happens, you will feel like, I cannot tell anyone about this until it's done, right? Like that's how it will be. Okay. Now, what's the result? The result is the Hanged Man. So not only do you gain a deeper sense of spirituality for yourself, but what this goes beyond and into is the realm of pure artistry and creativity. And so this thing is going to suffer a delay. I do wonder if this is going to be because of the Mercury retrograde. And yet, even with and Mercury's going to go retrograde at the very tail end of the month in the sign of Cancer, which for you represents the 6th house. As I said earlier, it's in the mutual reception with the moon that's going to be happening as a new moon on the 15th of June. Whatever the case might be, I really, really need you, Aquarius, to know whatever the delay is, put your feelings to the side, because this whole motif here is about trust. This is about the universe and you having a pact, right? You've been told to keep your mouth shut and silent, and the test is going to come, right? The slowdown is going to come, and then you're going to be tempted to be like, oh, wow, I did this thing, but it's not happening now, so I guess I can tell everybody about it. No, this is the test. And so what comes out of it, if you are able to hold your nerve, is a greater sense of self-trust, a greater sense of calm, peace, and clarity, but also a greater sense of creativity. And beyond all of that, there is a trust in the pacts that you make with the universe and how they unfold for you. No matter what the delay is, you keep your mouth shut on this thing. All right. I don't know what it's going to be. As I said, you're going to have to come back to this video and just let me know. Just say, Raf, excuse me. You're just going to put the Aquarius emoji and the shush emoji, and I will know that you've got your thing and that you are holding that, right? And I will hold as much love and space and faith for you alongside that with whatever delay might be taking place. All right. So all of that aside, if you want to book a personal tarot video with me, you can do so on the link in the description box below. The Reydiant Reality 10-year birthday sale is coming up this month. So if you want one of those much coveted Zoom sessions, stay tuned. You're going to be able to grab an absolute friggin' bargain. Even if I do say so myself, there are first come, first serve. My mailing list always get the first heads up about sessions being open for the month ahead. There will be extras this month, obviously, because it is the birthday sale. So do be on that mailing list. And also the retrograde survival kit is £25 off. So this is not an astrology course. It's not even an astrology mini course. This is you working with the planets in a really very deep way that's going to help you understand that planetary retrograde that much more. It's all planets from Mercury right the way through Pluto. You've got PDF guides. You've got insight on the planet and the retrograde cycle that it goes to. On top of that, you've got the energy work section, and that is what this is about. This is a retrograde survival kit that is going going to help you delve so much deeper into your relationship with the planets than you've ever gone before. And I stand by that. Nobody else has done anything like this. It's completely unique. It's totally, totally unique. There's nothing else out there like this. And I can promise you it's some of the best work that I've done. If you want to get that, there's a link in the description box below. And when you see the sheer amount of work that I have put into this thing and the depth that you are going to be able to learn about yourself and your relationship to the planets as they go retrograde, trust me, you'll be amazed at the price that I'm offering it at. Okay, with that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a great time of it. I can't wait to see your emojis. I can't wait to see that you found your secret pact with the universe. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Hi Pisces, welcome to your mid-month check-in. So this is the deck that I'll be using for you today. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So we're going to get straight into it. So don't worry if this doesn't look like a good shuffle. I always shuffle my cards before I get on camera, and I like to do it on camera so that you know that what you get is the luck of the draw. There's no stacked decks here. Alright, so for your first card out, this is in the position of where you're at right now. You got the 10 of Pentacles. So what this tells me is right now you have a legacy goal that you are very focused on at this moment in time. What's really interesting to me as well is the fact that this new moon that's taking place on the 15th of June, so this is a mid-month check-in, and around the time of the mid-month we literally have a Gemini new moon, which for you is in the 4th house. This is the 4th house of home, property, family, real estate, your deep emotional self. But more importantly than that, the 10 of Pentacles also represents your home. It represents your base. It represents your foundation. We're talking about like the, you know, the hard, tangible home as opposed to just the, you know, like... yeah, a dwelling, right? Like let's call it that. Now, what's really interesting to me is because this card is a card of legacy, it suggests that at the moment what you're really wanting to build or to create for yourself is some kind of security. Yes, that will be financial, but I actually think this is more about your stability as in your home, your property, your living situation. And it's like the legacy or the goal that you've set for yourself is something that is sort of quite bigger, quite broader, something that really is in a much deeper sort of what's the word that I'm looking for? Like, yeah, a much deeper consideration. It's, for me, I find this really, really interesting because the feeling that I get from it is this is you trying to establish something. Now, what's even more interesting then is obviously that the new moon is ruled by Mercury, who at the time will be in the sign of Cancer, which will be in your 5th house. The moon and Mercury will be in what we call a mutual reception at this time. And the reason I find this so interesting, especially with this 10 of Pentacles as where you're at right now, it brings a focus to you on whether you are actually living your best life or not. And this isn't about, you know, money and cars and, you know, nice things and all the rest of it. It's about what we call true quality of life, right? Am I really living in the way that I deem to be a quality of life that I want, that I feel like I deserve for the life that I've lived, all the things. And so there is this sort of deeper focus on all of the legacy, but also the material aspect of your life right now. It's a very, very interesting card to have. And obviously, as well, Mercury is going to go retrograde later this month. Now, then you have, of course you do, right? Then you've got this 6 of Cups. And the 6 of Cups is nostalgic. The 6 of Cups does see us looking at the past, looking over where we've been, where we've come from, what we've done. This is in the position of what your attention is being brought to at this moment in time and what you are truly reflecting on. So this is you reflecting on your goals. It's you reflecting on your living situation. It's you looking at your memories, at the past, at the life that you've lived, the life that you've experienced. For some of you, It looks like you're very focused on your childhood at this moment in time, like really the whole path that you've traveled in order to get to where you are at this moment in time. This is a very deep time for you, Pisces. You know, the fact that you have, and remember the new moon is a dark moon, right? And when I say dark, I don't mean like bad. I just mean it's, you know, there's not a lot of light. And I see the new moon as a portal. And being in the fourth house at the foundation, the roots, the soul of your chart, it's a very deep emotional space. And so for a lot of you, not only are you looking at the kind of life that you want to create for yourself on a material sort of, and even on a legacy sort of scale, but you're also looking at, you know, what are the tools? What are the things, the hang-ups? What are the tools? What are the gifts? What are the lessons and the blessings that I was given from my childhood, from who I have been, from the life that I have lived? There's a, you know, I said this to one of the other signs and I can't remember which one it is. And as I'm saying this, it's the 11th of June at, so here in the UK, it's 13:11, right? So that's 1:11 p.m. on the 11th, right? So all the ones at the moment. And what this really feels like to me, and I can't remember who it was that I said, but there's, I think it was Julia Roberts that said, you know, I don't want or need to have surgery because when I look at myself in the mirror, I say to myself, this is the face that I've earned and I'm okay with that. And I thought about it and I was like, wow, that is really, really deep, right? And it is really deep. It's a really deep consideration. And I feel like, and I said that to another sign this month and I can't remember who, but when I see this, it does feel to me like that is who, you know, that's kind of a part of this. So it's like you're really focused on where you've been, your past, your history, your experiences, what has shaped you into who you are. And yet there's this powerful, real drive right now within you to say, I'm not fucking done yet. I am not out for the count. I have things to do, places to go, people to do, honey. Right. I've got places to go. I've got things to do. I've got, like, I am not out for it yet. In fact, I'm just getting started and I'm coming for everything that I was told I could never have. There is a very deep energy behind just this combination of cards. Let's see what the shift is. What's the shift that needs to take place? Well, you've got the Magician card. So now, Pisces, now that you really have this legacy, goal, desire, dream, hope, wish, etc. in mind, you have to start getting busy manifesting this and creating it. And the lesson of the Magician is that you don't need anything else. You already have all of the core components that you need. You already have all of the materials that you need. You already have the level of power that you need. Now you just have to do the IKEA bit and put it all together to start manifesting or building or creating the thing that you truly desire. So the shift that needs to take place here is that you need to take your personal power in your own hands and you need to start building on whatever it is that you're feeling at this moment in time in terms of the legacy. Now here's where this gets really, really interesting. So here in the UK, it's now 13:13 on the 11th, right? That's just really interesting to me for so many reasons. But the reason this has caught my attention is because the number 10, so 10 in numerology, you slice off the zero, right? When numerology, we're always looking to simplify down to one single number. Well, here you've got the 10, which slice off the zero, it gives you the number 1. Well, what is the Magician? The Magician is the original number 1. All right, so when I see this, my feeling is that this is really about you stepping into selfhood. This is about you, and this is just the mid-month, right? This is just right now. This is about you stepping into selfhood. It's about understanding what bold, pioneering, or new direction you need to take. It's also about commanding yourself and being in command of all of your personal resources in some way, shape, or form. This is about really understanding who you are, where you're at this moment in time, and never downplaying whatever your strengths, your abilities, etc. are ever again, right? Now, in terms of what happens if you make this shift, of course, what happens if you make that shift is the 10 of Cups. So not only do you have the 10 of Pentacles, which is the material wealth, but the 10 of Cups is like what makes a house a home. the people in it, the contentment, the love, the abundance of connection and interaction, right? Like, look at this. You've got two tens on the table. Two tens represents new knowledge. Two tens represents change, and it's usually a big change at that. These are the two positive tens in the deck. These are two of the most positive cards in the deck for both material and emotional, growth, strength, support, etc. On top of that, the Ten of Pentacles is earth, the Ten of Cups is water. Water and earth are complementary because when you add the two, or when you mix the two, you actually get growth. As if all of that wasn't enough, what do we see here? You got the Ten of Cups, the Six of Cups, that's water. You got the Ten of Pentacles, that's earth. You got the Magician card, which is Mercury, so that's earth and air. What's the missing element here? The missing element is fire. Fire is about action, right? And so you got to take this will, you got to take this willpower, you got to take this, all of these different core components that you have. You've got to take the desire and the dream and the legacy goal, but you've also got to take the emotion, right? And the ability. Fourth house, new moon, in the space of the chart that represent, if you're an ascendant Pisces to a lesser degree, but still relevant, the sun and the moon, right? That fourth house, new moon, in the deepest part of your chart that represents the space of your emotions, your deep emotional makeup, the power of the Six of Cups being the fuel and the energy from which you draw your entire past, right? This reminds me of, oh shit, I'm having a memory now. Have you seen the film Ghost? You know, Patrick Swayze, oh my God, don't even get me started on the way I love this film, right? I can tell you, even to this day, that film still makes me cry. It still gives me goosebumps. It still gives me shivers. It's probably one of the true great films of history, actually. Like Whoopi Goldberg, Demi Moore, Patrick Swayze, like it was just, what an epic film now that I think about it. Anyway, I'm digressing. You know the bit where Patrick Swayze meets the really crotchety old ghost on the train, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing on my train? And he says to him, like, you know, and he can move things, right? The crotchety ghost is able to move things, and he says, you got to use all of it, right? Your love, your hate, your memories, your everything that you are, or in their case were, because they're ghosts. You've got to use all of that, and that's how you can push something. Right, it's really, really, like, it's a really poignant scene, and it's actually kind of one of the truths, if you really want to get into gems in films, that's a gem of knowledge of how you truly manifest things. That Six of Cups in this spread then suddenly is doing a lot of work. Pay attention to its message. All right, you got to use all of that instead of letting it use you and get you into all sorts of emotional knots and I should have and blah blah and they shouldn't have and blah blah. Fuck all of that. That's not important to you. What is important is that you turn that, all of your history, the good, the bad, the ugly, the downright beautiful, right? You take all of it and you use that as the platform to launch yourself into this Ten of Pentacles, to launch yourself into this Ten of Cups. If you make these shifts, if you step into your inner magician, the Ten of Cups is your result. It's up to you to claim it. All right. With that said, Pisces, you know I love you. With that, if you would like to book a personal tarot reading with me, you can do a personal video with me. You can do so on the link in the description box below. If you would like to book one of the much coveted Zoom sessions that I hold, so I only have a set amount of Zoom sessions that I can do every month now, just because there's things that are going on in the background. This year I'm hosting the Reydiant Reality 10-year birthday sale, so as if all of that wasn't enough, that's going on as well. So there's a lot, right? Like there's a lot going on. Now, if you want one of those, mailing list always gets first heads up. So if you want to get one, obviously get on the mailing list because they're going to get first dibs. After that, I announce to the broader community here on YouTube, etc. And as if that wasn't enough, that Mercury retrograde that's going to be happening in your 5th house, The retrograde survival kit is now on sale. You can get £25 off of it. If you see the sheer amount of depth that I've put into that, you're going to get work booklets, but more importantly than that, you're going to learn about the planetary retrogrades. This is not an astrology course. It's not an astrology mini course or anything like that. This is deep, integrative energy work medicine for all of the planetary retrogrades that you're ever going to experience for the rest of your life, from Mercury right the way through Pluto. The energy work sections alone, right? Like when you see the sheer amount of time, effort, love that I've poured into this thing, it is deep. So if you want to go deep, you want to understand how planetary retrogrades really work for you specifically and really do that deep inner healing work, the retrograde survival kit is for you. As I say, this is not an astrology course. It's not about that. This is a deeply integrative energy work medicine modality that is going to help you delve deeper into planetary retrogrades than you've ever gone before. And I can say that because there's nothing else like nothing else like it out there, and I stand by that. All right. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Let me know in the comments how this shapes up. I'm so excited to hear from you on all of this. With that said, take care, and I'll see you soon.